presentation of Capital One Bowl Week.
Toronto, Ontario, the only Canadian city with 5 Major League sports and the largest city to host a college bowl game. Today, inside the Rogers Center, the University of South Florida will attempt to push the Big East to their 4th win here on the shores of Lake Ontario. But the Huskies of Northern Illinois will have their say about that here in the 2010 International Bowl. Welcome to Toronto, Ontario, resting on the northwest shore of Lake Ontario, inside the Rogers Center, the 2010 International Bowl. The Big East against the Mid-American Conference as the University of South Florida takes on the Huskies from Northern Illinois. Hi, everybody. Along with former Pittsburgh and Toronto Argonaut quarterback John Congemi, I'm Mike Gleason. Great to have you with us. David Amber, the third member of our broadcast team, will be checking in momentarily. Now, the Big East is 3-0 in this game, but Jim Leavitt was quick to point out yesterday that this Northern Illinois team beat Purdue, almost beat Wisconsin. It'd be a big mistake to take these guys lightly.
Jim Leavitt's a smart man, Mike, and he's going to have his Bulls prepared. They had a good week of practice here in Toronto. They do have the edge in team speed, maybe a couple more athletes, but Jerry Kill, the head coach from Northern Illinois, he has a tough physical team. So I look at the trenches in this ball game to be a positive for the Huskies.
The Bulls of USF led by a redshirt freshman quarterback by the name of B.J. Daniels. At times he plays like a redshirt freshman quarterback. At times he is spectacular.
B.J. Daniels, his athleticism is off the charts, and he sets up this offense with his legs. He loves to get to the outside. He doesn't shy away from contact, but that opens up wide open wide receivers downfield and big plays, especially against Florida State here earlier in the year. There were wide receivers running all over the place, and that's because B.J. Daniels, his athleticism to get to the edge, to use his legs in this offense, that'll be a key today.
The Huskies of Northern Illinois led the Mid-American Conference in rushing, over 200 yards a game. One of their components, Miko Brown, didn't make the trip, but Chad Spann more than willing to pick up the slack because he's flirting with a 1,000-yard season.
Yeah, and he's a guy, Mike, don't let his size fool you. He's only 5'9", 197 pounds, but he's a great runner in between the tackles. He runs very low behind his pads, and he's a guy that does not shy away from contact. He's got great speed once he gets to the second level, and that's what head coach Jerry Kill wants to see today. Get him to the second level, make big plays in a running game, and control the game with Chad Spann.
Both teams come in at 7-5, and they would love to get out of Toronto with that 8th victory as they start building next fall for the 2010 season.
Now, we've been a long way. We came a long way. This is what we do. Yeah. We came here to win this game. Come on. Come on. Huskies on 2. 1, 2. Huskies.
One of the biggest victories when USF knocked off Florida State earlier this year, one of the biggest victories in the history of that program, only in its 13th season. Welcome back inside the Rogers Center, formerly known as Sky Dome, John Congemi's former stomping grounds with the Argonauts. It's Northern Illinois and USF. Let's go downstairs and check in for the first time with David Amber. David?
Well, guys, both head coaches believe this game could come down to which team can dictate the style of play. As you mentioned, the Huskies love rushing the ball, leading the MAC 202 yards rushing per game. However, their second leading rusher, Miko Brown, not here, back in his home state of Mississippi, attending to some personal family issues. So, yes, Chad Spann, the load's going to be on him to carry this Huskies offense. Now, Jim Leavitt, the Bulls head coach, says we got to make them uncomfortable. Put them in second and long, put them in third and long, make them throw the ball. Meanwhile, Jerry Kill says we just got to keep South Florida's offense off the field. More importantly, though, he said we got to protect the ball. 5 turnovers in the last 2 games, and yes, the Huskies lost both those games. Guys?
All right, thanks a lot, David. And I would think that Jerry Kill, when they do pass it, they've got to move the pocket a little bit.
They would have to. They're going to have to mix it up. But I think very important for Northern Illinois, this first set of downs on offense for Jerry Kill. His offense needs to come out and move the change and do a good job of controlling the ball and keeping B.J. Daniels in that South Florida offense on the sidelines.
Well, Jerry Kill, 6-6 last year, 7-5 this season. Actually, 6-6 in the regular season last year. They lost their bowl game, but only in his second year He describes himself as a hard hat, lunch pail type of guy, blue collar background, and they're going to play good, sound, fundamental football. As we take a look at Ricky Kreider, back to receive the kick, and Eric Schwartz lining it up for the Bulls. Now the Bulls won the toss. They deferred. So Northern Illinois is going to find out what they can do against the defensive front early.
They're going to find out. Team speed on South Florida is probably the best they've seen this year.
And this football game is underway. The fourth ever international ball. It hits at about the 15-yard line. That's Tommy Davis with the ball. He finds his seam up over the 35, and he's dropped at the 38. And it's a 24-yard return, so good field position for the Huskies.
Exactly what the Huskies wanted to do as they bring in their quarterback, the sophomore Chandler Harnish. He's a guy that's still learning this offense, but he's a guy that can move the football. You don't have to run the football consistently for him to be successful. He's a guy that can throw the football, can make all the throws, but he's bought into what Jerry Kill wants to do, and that's be aggressive early in this game.
66% for Harnish on the season, about 1,500 yards, 11 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Working out of the I formation. Spann gets the call, breaks to the outside, and he's up near the 50-yard line. Had to get to the midfield stripe for the first down. Jerome Murphy coming up to make the stop. A gain of 9 on the play. Let's check the starting lineups offensively now. For the Huskies of Northern Illinois, Spann is the guy. He'll get most of the carries, of course. And Landon Cox, their leading receiver. Cox coming in with 44 catches. Now up front, you look at Eddie Adamski and Jason Onyebuaga. Both are first-team All-MAC picks on the offensive front. Second down, Spann turns. Nowhere to go that time as he's wrapped up very quickly. A loss of 1 on the play as Chris Robinson comes up with a tackle. As we take a look at the rest of the defensive starters for the Bulls at the University of South Florida. First of all, up front, of course, the 2 defensive ends, Jason Pierre-Paul, George Selvey, Terrell McLean. He is the strength in the interior line. The linebackers, Keon Wilson, the leading tackler on this team. Chris Robinson back from injury. And you look at a very active secondary. Nate Allen and Jerome Murphy combined for 7 interceptions. Out of the shotgun, Harnish ready to work. Moving that pocket, rolls, and he's up near the first down marker. Aaron Harris coming back to make the stop.
Almost a quarterback sweep to the wide side of the field for Harnish, and he did the right thing. He tried to lower his shoulder and get the first down, but he may be just a half a ball short of that first down. A good job by Jason Pierre-Paul of stretching that play out, that big defensive end for the Bulls. He's going to do a great job on the high end outside, doing a great job of occupying 2 blockers, and that'll bring up a 4th and short for the Huskies, and it looks like that punting unit's going to come onto the field.
And it also looks like they thought about it maybe for a minute or 2, maybe going for it early.
We've seen them fake it before in a big game against Purdue. They did that earlier in the season.
Josh Wilburn, and, well, talk about a fake. Boy, they did that against Purdue with about 3:44 left on the clock from their own 16-yard line.
Yeah, in South Florida, they watch film as well, so they did a great job up front against an opportunistic Jerry Kill, a head coach for the Huskies, trying to fake it on 4th and short. Now the Bulls are going to have instant field position.
That was Justin Anderson with the carry. Anderson is the one who picked up the 11 yards against Purdue, and which more or less sealed that victory for the Huskies. Jim Leavitt, in his 13th season now, very, very active on the sidelines. And here's B.J. Daniels, the redshirt freshman quarterback out of Tallahassee. Just 53% on the year, but boy, he is dangerous. Swings it out very quickly. It's complete. And there's some of that speed in space as Jesse Hester pulls down the first catch. Gain of 15 on the first play of the ball game. David Bryant covering defensively for the Huskies.
And Mike, this is going to be the toughest thing for the Husky defense, is really spread out and try to cover in space, because South Florida has so many athletes, well, not only at the quarterback position, but every position. They have speed, they have size, they have athletic ability. So spreading out and covering in space and tackling in space will be difficult for the Huskies.
That's a great point. Central Michigan has an offense a lot like this, and the Huskies struggle, especially in the linebacking core against the Chippewas. Hester again, he's got some running room, spins on about the 20, and he's finally driven out of bounds right there. Tracy Wilson. Another gain of 15 for Jesse Hester as we take a look at the rest of the Bulls offensively, the starters. As far as the backs and receivers, Mo Plancher and Mike Ford will be handling the running duties. Carlton Mitchell, the all-time leading receiver, he got that award against UConn in the final regular season. Up front, it's a mix and match because of injuries, but Samson Jennis at the center. He missed the UConn game, but he's back in there, said to be one of the better centers in all of college football. Out of the shotgun. And the give is to Mo Blanchard. As we take a look at the Huskies now, on the defensive side of the football, trying to stop the Bulls. And the Huskies very active at the defensive end. Jake Kaufman, Brandon Bice. The linebackers, they have a true freshman, Tyrone Clark out of St. Louis, getting a start because Alex Kuba is banged up. Corey Hansen, the second leading tackler on the team. Tracy Wilson at that strong safety leads this Husky team in tackles, coming in with 86.
Mike, this is where South Florida likes to spread you out and use the athleticism at quarterback of B.J. Daniels.
Trips to the near side. Second down for B.J. Daniels out of the shotgun. He's going down. That's the 30th sack this year for Northern Illinois. Sean Proger just picked up number 6 on the season.
Yeah, and Alex Baxter, number 90, also in on the sack. A good job of controlling the line of scrimmage by the Husky defense. We said that would be key coming into this game. How well can they tackle in space and control the line of scrimmage? That time, they beat South Florida up front. There's a lot of red shirts in B.J. Daniels' face behind the line of scrimmage.
Well, the Bulls now facing a 3rd and long just outside the red zone. They come in averaging about 26 points a ball game.
And they've been 16 of 16 inside that red zone in the last 7 ball games.
Daniels. Here comes the pressure. Looking downfield, and he overshoots his man. That's Dontavia Bogan, the junior from Thomasville, Georgia. Patrick George covering for the Huskies defensively.
Nice defensive stand by the Huskies. They gave up immediate field position around midfield, and they're able to only have the Bulls come out and attempt a field goal opportunity. So a good job after a couple nice plays by B.J. Daniels to start that drive.
Here comes Eric Schwartz now. He's made his last 6 under 46 yards. Schwartz long of a 50 this year. This one from 39. Evan Landy to hold. On the season, Schwartz 9 of 14. Overall, hitting 7 of his last 9. And this one is right down the middle. And the Bulls, they don't get 7, but they settle for 3. And the first to put some numbers on that scoreboard here in Toronto. So the Huskies of Northern Illinois try to fake punt on their first possession. They failed, but they hold the Bulls to a field goal.
You know what 2:30 in the afternoon feels like, right? Sleepy? Groggy? Dying for a nap? What do? Run for the coffee? Grab a soda? But how long does that last before you're back for more? Try this instead. Take 1 5-hour energy, then see what the rest of your day feels like. Sure won't feel like 2:30 anymore. Or 3:30. Or 4:30. 5-hour energy. Hours of energy now, no 2:30 feeling later.
Gentlemen, this is the kind of air traffic that separates the men from the men who wish they were men but are really only boys trying to be men, even though they're developmentally probably already men.
Winter X Games 14 starts January 28th on ESPN and ESPN2.
Hi, is Denise working?
Yeah, she's in the back. Can I take your order?
I'm just a little bit more comfortable ordering with Denise. Hey, hi. You remember me? I came by yesterday and gave me that 5-layer burrito. That new one for
89 cents.
Is that cool? Is that still cool?
It's an inside deal for everyone. Layers of seasoned beef, cheddar cheese, and a hidden layer of nacho cheese sauce. It's Taco Bell's new beefy 5-layer burrito for just 89 cents. Why pay more?
Soon there'll be 1 trillion connected devices in the world.
Can you hear them?
Food is talking to store shelves.
Cargo containers are talking to supply chains.
Power lines are talking to the grid.
Now that's smart.
Systems that allow carrots to tell truck drivers how fresh they are.
Roads alert cars about traffic patterns.
Cars alert mechanics before they break down.
When things communicate,
systems connect.
When systems connect,
the world gets smarter.
That's what I'm working on.
I'm an IBMer. Let's build a smarter planet.
So many arthritis pain relievers. I just want fewer pills and relief that last all day.
Take 2 extra strength Tylenol every 4 to 6 hours.
taking 8 pills a day, and if I take it for 10 days, that's 80 pills.
Just 2 Aleve can last all day. Perfect.
Choose Aleve and you can be taking 4 times fewer pills than extra strength Tylenol. Just 2 Aleve have the strength to relieve arthritis pain all day.
ESPN College Football, the International Bowl, is brought to you by 5-Hour Energy. Hours of energy now, no crash later. For more information, visit 5hourenergy.com. Capital One, what's in your wallet? And AT&T, a better 3G experience.
Well, temperatures expected to be about 17 degrees and snow flurries here in Toronto. I'm told it's more like 1 out there today.
It's cold, and I've been right there downtown, and when they see me, there's a picture there saying, get all your children off the ice. This guy's dangerous.
Well, Jerry Kill, first possession of the ball game up near the midfield stripe. They tried the fake punt. Justin Anderson, he's been successful with this before, but not this time against the Bulls.
Yeah, 5'6" white shirts around the football, and it was a short a gamble around midfield, and the Huskies were not up to that opportunity.
Tommy Davis again on the reception of the kickoff up over the 25, and he is hit, and he's hit hard at the 26-yard line. A return of 20 that time for Tommy Davis. And let's go back and take a look at that victory for Northern Illinois against Purdue. Miko Brown, big game, 150 yards, including the 67-yard touchdown run as they built a big lead on the Boilermakers early.
Yeah, and then Chad Spann, he also chipped in. He rushed for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns on a tough Boilermaker defense.
Here it is late in the fourth quarter. Northern Illinois pulled off the fake punt from their own 16-yard line. 3:44 to go. And the Huskies with the football for the second time this afternoon. Quick question, John, right after this play. Harnish, play action, wants to put it up, and he's going down. Lots of pressure coming up from that outside. It's Jason Pierre-Paul. That's going to be 6.5 sacks now for him this year.
No stranger to the offensive backfield. Big number 90 wearing white. Jason Pierre-Paul just manhandles the offensive lineman Pollock up front and gets to the quarterback. As you said, 6.5 sacks. He has almost 15 tackles for loss on the season, and he's a guy that didn't start playing football until his junior year of his high school season. So just a terrific story in Jason Pierre-Paul.
A lot like Greg Romeus.
That's right.
From Pittsburgh, he was the co-defensive player of the year in the Big East this year. Harnish gives it to Spann this time, and Spann up over the 25-yard line, keeps those legs going. The original line of scrimmage was about the 27. Keon Wilson picks up his 99th tackle this year.
Well, this is what the Bulls want to do, Mike. Get the Huskies in 3rd and long situations, and these defensive ends are going to be the key to that, pressuring the pocket and really winning those battles at the line of scrimmage. We've talked about Jason Pierre-Paul, we talked about George Selvey, but you know, Terrell McLean, Keith McCaskill, Aaron Harris, those big guys in the middle, they have to hold down that line of scrimmage.
Well, the Huskies going with 4 receivers this time. 3rd and 9 at the 28-yard line. Harnish out of the shotgun. Sets up the screen. Spann over the 30. Spann 35, dropped at the 36-yard line. And finally Nate Allen making the stop, a gain of 8. They'll be a yard shy, and I don't think they'll be faking a punt this time, John.
I don't think so. I think they're going to kick it away. Great effort that time by Chad Spann, who catches the football well out of the backfield. Only 7 receptions, now 8 on the season, but he did a nice job of keeping those legs moving, getting close to the sticks, but first down really hurt the Huskies.
Getting back to that Purdue game now, they built the big lead. They go for a fake punt, 3:44 to go on their 16. Was that a gutsy call or a desperation call because Purdue was coming back?
You know, it's a game they needed to win at that point of the season. I think it's a great call. I think it's a gutsy call.
I thought it was a desperation call, thinking our defense can't stop these guys anymore. Farron Hones was the deep back, but it's going to be down at the 29-yard line. So the Bulls, with a 39-yard field goal on their first possession, have the ball for the second time after the 36-yard punt. Jason Pierre-Paul, named an All-American. Of course, on the other side, George Selvey, a 2-time All-American for the Bulls of USF.
I tried the other energy drinks, and what made me switch was the size of the drinks kept getting bigger and bigger. I just wanted energy. I didn't want to get bloated. The 2 ounces of 5-Hour Energy really does make a difference. With the other energy drinks, it was kind of a sugar high. I felt on edge, and that's not what I'm looking for before I go on a mountain bike ride or a run or a swim, and I never felt that with 5-Hour Energy. It gave me a boost, and the boost lasted, and I never crashed. It gives you that sense of alertness. Nothing works like 5-Hour Energy.
Rapunzel! I'm here to save you!
Oh, just a minute. I'm picking a photo for my Capital One credit card. I've gone through so many phases. Oh, maybe this one. Ooh. Oh, I miss disco. Oh, this one's good.
I'm here, darling!
Oh.
Oh, dear.
Personalize your card by uploading your own photo at CapitalOne.com.
What's in your wallet?
AT&T is the nation's fastest 3G network, so you can download faster on your smartphone than Verizon. To prove it, I'm downloading myself on both networks at the same time. AT&T download's done. Verizon, sorry, your time's up. Look at this AT&T download. Hi.
When you compare, there's no comparison.
Oh, no, this...
AT&T.
That's just not right.
A better 3G experience.
Get 50% off all BlackBerry smartphones after mail-in rebate.
Could switching to Geico really save you 15% or more on car insurance? Is Ed Too Tall Jones too tall?
I was gonna guesstimate.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Welcome back inside the Rogers Center. Head coaches all across college football in the news late in the season. Of course, Mark Mangino of Kansas fired after he allegedly said some hurtful and personal things to his players. We all know what happened with Mike Leach at Texas Tech for his recent incident or incidents with one of his players. Jim Leavitt is under investigation at USF for allegedly hitting or slapping one of his players, Joel Miller, who plays special teams. Now, Miller and his father have backed off the statement, but when he gets back, this investigation is still ongoing, Jeff.
Well, it's such a fine line for head coaches in this day and age with young athletes, and I can go back to stories when I was in college and guys were allowed to pretty much do what you wanted to do, and it's a different time now, but Jim Leavitt's always handled this situation and his team and his university with class, and I don't expect anything else going forward coming from Jim Leavitt.
Joel Miller, the player, said, yes, he did grab my shoulder pads. I missed an assignment on special teams, but he did not hit me. Mike Ford in at running back now for the Bulls. And Daniels wants to go to work with that arm right down the middle. He's going to overshoot his man at the 30-yard line. Intended receiver was A.J. Love. Patrick George covering. You look at some of these receivers, John. A.J. Love averaging 19 yards a catch. Mitchell's averaging 18 yards a catch. All these receivers are big play guys.
Yeah, Bogan, you can throw him into the mix at 14 yards per catch. Those guys can get in and out of routes, and they make big targets for a strong-armed B.J. Daniels, who's been getting better at throwing the long ball, and he's very accurate usually with that shot.
So the Bulls 2nd and 10 now at the 29-yard line after the incompleted ball. Daniels whips it out quickly. Top of your screen. This one's complete. And it's Evan Landy, the backup quarterback, getting some action. He's going to go full-time receiver in the spring.
Absolutely. This is a guy that possesses a lot of athletic ability. Former hockey player, a guy that can skate with the best of them. He's going to skate outside next year for the Bulls at the wide receiver position. We saw him yesterday throwing the football. He's got a great arm. He allows you to do a double pass on the outside, but just a big-size athlete with good wheels.
There's a defenseman, a very good one, too. I know you're a big hockey fan. Your son plays hockey down in Florida. He had a chance to play juniors up here in Canada, Evan Landy did, but he's always wanted to play big-time college football. 3rd and 1 now at the 38-yard line, out of the I formation. They give it to the first back, and he's hit at the line of scrimmage. Richard Kelly, he's been bouncing between an H-back and fullback. A gain of 2 on the play. It looks like they're going to move the chains.
That was a nice job in the trenches by the Husky defense. They put up a wall, and it's going to be pretty close, Mike. They may have to measure this, or he may have just come up short. The Bulls offense are asking to go for it. Jerry Kill on their sidelines, very proud of that defensive stand there on 3rd down.
All depends on that spot from the lines judge. Russ Delin, our statistician, up his waving his arms like, hey, thought he got 2 yards on the play.
Bad spot, Russ.
So Delbert Alvarado, the senior, comes on to punt at about the 25-yard line. Tommy Davis, the deep man, to receive for the Huskies. And the fair catch is called for at about the 25-yard line. A 38-yard punt by Alvarado. He comes in averaging just under 41. So we're going to take a break and step outside at the Rogers Center once again. There's the time, 6:16 to go in the first quarter. The Bulls up by a field goal.
The BCS National Championship Game, Texas, Alabama, January 7th on ABC.
The other energy drinks I was using, they're way too big, way too much sugar. It's insane. 5-Hour Energy is the complete opposite. There's no sugar and there's no crash. Way smaller package. I can just take it as a shot or 2 quick gulps. When I'm on the phone talking to customers on the East Coast, I gotta be alert, I gotta be awake. Don't even consider all the other drinks. It's no contest. It's 5-Hour Energy all the way. I definitely get a perk of mental energy for sure. I'm just quicker. 5-Hour Energy is my go-to drink.
Man, quitting sucks. That's better.
This carpool still sucks.
Quitting sucks. Nicorette makes it suck less, doubling your chances of success.
This week on Countdown.
There's 2 teams in this division, the Eagles and the Cowboys.
With the NFC East title up for grabs, we take a look back and explore this historic rivalry. Plus, with back-to-back losses, should the Vikings and Saints panic or stay patient?
I'm going to say patient, but if they lose today, I'm going to say panic.
And with the Chargers on a 10-game win streak, we unmask Phillip Rivers. Sunday NFL Countdown, 11 a.m. on ESPN, presented by IBM.
Next time your car needs repair, don't pay the bill. If your car has less than 250,000 miles, StopRepairBills.com will get it paid for you. And over the life of your car, that can really add up. Just look at the difference. New fuel pump, $550. With Stop Repair Bills, it's paid. New power window motor, $1,167. It's paid. New transmission, $2,686. Paid. Stop Repair Bills isn't a dealer's warranty. It's better because you choose the level of coverage and you choose the repair shop. And they're paid directly, no matter how big the job. New AC, $1,639. With Stop Repair Bills, it's paid. New engine, $4,319. That's thousands of dollars out of your pocket. But now these repairs won't cost you a cent. The choice is yours. Pay your own repair bills or keep that money in your pocket.
Call 1-800-637-6233. A free 5-minute call can save you thousands in auto repair. Call 1-800-637-6233 and stop paying repair bills now.
Welcome back to Toronto. There's Jason Pierre-Paul. Missed the first 2 weeks of camp, finishing up schoolwork, and he's still named an All-American. John, and when you're playing quarterback, you're always cognizant of these 2 guys.
You have to be, and he's a great compliment to George Selvey on the other side. He has a sack today, 6.5 on the season, 14.5 tackles for losses, but it's just that wingspan of over 80 inches that he can get around people. And then the 2-time All-American George Selvey just dips that shoulder inside, and he can get to a quarterback and cause havoc for offensive tackles. So these 2 guys really complement each other.
And that victory over Florida State earlier this year, Christian Ponder, the Seminole quarterback, said both those defensive ends are going to be playing on Sunday.
Yeah, who are those guys?
Rick Trickett, the offensive line coach, he predicted they'll both be first-round picks. Spann tries to bounce to the outside, and he's ridden down by Sam Barrington, number 36. He's a true freshman. And you look at Mel Kiper's board for defensive ends, Jason Pierre-Paul, number 2, John. You mentioned that he, former basketball player, is 265 pounds. You're number 2 on the board, but those tackles in the offensive line in the NFL are huge.
Pretty big guys, but this is a guy that has raw ability, and if you take a shot on a Jason Pierre-Paul, whether he decides to come out after this season, his junior year or not, he's going to have success because he possesses a great blend of power and speed.
3 down linemen both. Selvey and Paul on the sidelines on this play, and they swing it out. It's complete. and it's driven out of bounds. That's Marcus Lewis, the senior out of Gurnee, Illinois. Quentin Washington on the coverage as we check in with David Amber.
And guys, Jason Pierre-Paul has until January 15th to decide on his NFL candidacy. The International Bowl in the last couple of years has really been that jump-on point to the NFL for a couple of star players. Last year, UConn's Donald Brown rushed for 261 yards, was named the game MVP. Right after the game, he declared he was going to forego his senior year and go to the NFL, drafted in the first round. And then 2 years ago, Ray Rice from Rutgers, 280 yards at the International Bowl, scored 4 touchdowns. And yes, that April, he also went into the draft, taken in the second round by the Ravens. So big decision coming up for Pierre-Paul.
Huge decision, David. I mean, Rice, Brown, both 2,000-yard rushers that year, whereas, again, you look at the physical stature of Jason Pierre-Paul. Is he ready for the NFL?
Well, you know, that's a decision he's going to have to make with his family and the people around him. And Art Taylor, his high school coach from Deerfield Beach High School in Fort Lauderdale, you know, he really started playing late to the game, and in talking with him and talking to people that know him, say what an athletic specimen this guy is. He's got great speed, he's got good toughness, and, you know, just think what another year of seasoning would do. But he's ready, in my opinion, right now.
Wilbur with another punt for the Huskies. And this one, they're keeping it away from the return men for the Bulls. It hits at about the 35, goes out of bounds at the 34. And it's a 32-yard punt for Josh Wilbur. He comes in averaging 41 yards a kick as well. So Jerry Kill in his second year of the Huskies, he knew he was going to face more team speed here than he has all season long. But he says, you mentioned it early, too. They did a good job in space. He said, but that's what he's worried about, angles and just playing in space as they spread things out.
And they still have to worry because B.J. Daniels really hasn't started with his legs. You know, they've done a good job of keeping the plays in front of them, but when B.J. Daniels starts to move the pocket and break contain, that's when the Huskies defense needs to worry.
Daniels now with Lindsey. Lamar in the backfield. Daniels using his legs, and a good job defensively. The number 90, that's Alan Baxter, a true freshman. No gain. He gets back to the line of scrimmage. You know, it's funny, you look at B.J. Daniels and his ability to run. He's got more rushing yardage than a Tim Tebow or a Terrell Pryor of Ohio State. But he says he'd prefer to pass. He doesn't really like to run.
Well, he's a quarterback first. He just has that ability to run, and he runs like a running back when he decides to. But he throws from the pocket, you know, above average, and he's very accurate with throwing the football.
And there's that accuracy as he whips it out to the far sideline as Carlton Mitchell has his first catch, 35th of the season. Well, Capital One Bowl Week continues tonight on ESPN with 2 games. First at 5:30 Eastern, Arkansas and the Pirates of East Carolina in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Then at 9 Eastern, Michigan State taking on the Red Raiders of Texas Tech in the Valera Alamo Bowl. Capital One Bowl Week on ESPN and ESPN360.com coming up tonight. And of course, you look at that Texas Tech game. Ruffin McNeil making his debut as a head coach for the Red Raiders, taking over for Mike Leach. And once again, B.J. Daniels goes down. That's the second sack this afternoon. And good containment, playing good assignment football as Corey Hansen makes the play.
Just a great job of collapsing the pocket. We talked about the line of scrimmage being critical for this Husky defense. They were able to break down the Bulls up front, and guys like Jake Kaufman coming from there and from that defensive front, and Corey Hansen being able to get the sack on B.J. Daniels. Just a terrific job on third and short yardage for this Husky defense to get in the face, win the battle of the line of scrimmage against the Bulls.
Alvarado in the kick at about the 20 or 25-yard line. Tommy Davis standing back at his 22 for the Huskies. And penalty flags are dropped for the first time here this afternoon. If this goes against the Bulls, they average about 7.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense number 57, 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
Big 12 officiating crew. That's Adrian Hill, the referee here this afternoon. I was going to say the Bulls averaging a 7+ as far as penalties per game. Jacqueline Williams. Jim Levitt says he's probably the fastest linebacker they have on this football team. Alvarado now kicking back closer to the 15 inside the 20-yard line.
Well, Mike, the Huskies need a big play, and it could come from special teams.
It's a high spiral kick, and Tommy Davis fair catch at about the 26. That time a 43-yard punt for Delbert Alvarado, the senior for the Bulls of USF. When we come back, Huskies with the football, trailing by only 3, trying to get that offense on track.
NIU, serving the heart of America's heartland. Educating new leaders for the nation's third largest region. Bringing expertise and innovation to communities and public schools. Creating new jobs and new workers. Conducting research that improves our quality of life. Northern Illinois University. Across the region, from Chicago to the Mississippi, NIU works.
Back inside the Rogers Center in Toronto, 3-0 on the Bulls over the Huskies. Now from coast to coast, you can now get the latest news on the teams you care about the most. The power of ESPN covering the Boston, Chicago, Dallas, and now Los Angeles sports scenes. News, opinion, and special sports center just for your city. The inside info you're accustomed to. Now with local flavor, it's ESPNLosAngeles.com, ESPNChicago.com, ESPNBoston.com, and now ESPNDallas.com. Of course, ESPNChicago.com will be all over this game, covering the Huskies from Northern Illinois. As Jason Pierre-Paul and George Selvey now back on the field. They didn't play a whole lot in the last series, John, and Harnish under center, back to work for the Huskies. Comes out firing, completes it. That's going to be a first down. A good hit that time by Jerome Murphy, but they picked up 10.
Well, good job by this offensive line. They came in and gave protection on first down, and they've only allowed 14 sacks on the season, one today to make it 15. But that's a good job standing in the pocket, standing tall, letting that back foot hit, and then driving the football outside. Good recovery speed by Jerome Murphy on the corner, as you mentioned, but a better throw by Harnish by hanging tough in the pocket and delivering the football on time.
Reception by Nathan Palmer, redshirt sophomore, only his 5th this year. Little drop play. Span cuts it up. Boy, you said something in the pregame that he reminds you of who from Pittsburgh?
Dion Lewis. I know he wears the same number, but you know he's going to be able to establish himself just like on the last 2 plays. Now the Huskies offense, they have a little bit of flow, a little bit of rhythm. Nice pass on the outside, a good inside running and tough running in between the tackles, trying to get Chad Span to that second level. But they need to develop and keep with this rhythm on offense. A nice pass on first down. Now you get second and short with a good run by Span.
As we talked about at the top of the show, flirting with a 1,000-yard season, came in about 55 yards shy. Approached the 1-minute mark in the first quarter. Harnish fires, and nice catch at the 35-yard line. And that one's complete. To Martell Moore, the true freshman out of San Antonio. Quentin Washington on the coverage, a gain of 18, John.
And Martell Moore did a nice job of attacking the football because the ball hung up a little bit in the air, and you're going to watch him go and make a hands catch. He's going to attack the football. That last step towards the football was enough separation from Quentin Washington, the DB.
Here comes Span. Cuts it back now. Span inside the 25, dropped at about the 23-yard line. Nate Allen coming up to make the stop. A gain of 12 more for the Huskies, and they are on the move.
Nice flow, nice rhythm to this series, all directed by quarterback Chandler Harnish and Chad Span. And, you know, talking with the offensive coordinator, Matt Limegrover, for the Huskies, he said this team really models itself after teams like the Pitt Panthers or Rutgers, where they have a good balance of run and pass. And in this series, you're seeing that from Northern Illinois.
Quentin Washington, the cornerback, is down on the field as they attend to him. We'll talk about Span's running game and Harnish. Now, Jerry Kill, the head coach, telling me yesterday that people talk about us being a running game, but he says, I think we're more of a team that takes what the defense gives us. Harnish looked pretty good on that last pass, pretty tight spiral.
Harnish has the ability to really take over this offense at the quarterback position and take pressure off of the running game and Jerry Kill's offensive line, and that's what you like to have in an offense. You like to be multiple, you like to do a number of things, but you're only as good as those guys that put their hand down on the turf or in the dirt. So as that offensive line goes, the running game will go, and they will be able to protect for Harnish.
Well, Span right now 7 carries for 33 yards as the Huskies, trailing by 3, are moving down the field now. Best drive of the afternoon so far. Huskies come in averaging 31 points a game, 200 yards rushing, 152 yards passing. Quentin Washington out of the ballgame. Kayvon Webster now, the true freshman in, filling his spot. Out of the I formation this time. Span dots the I, gets the call, hits the middle of that line, and those guys can be pretty tough for USF in the interior line. Corey Grissom making the stop. This is his third start after missing 5 games. Now this Bull team, we talk about that 5-0 start. When they beat Florida State, now the coaches can't say this publicly, but they said by the time they played Miami, a game they lost, they weren't the same team because they were so dinged up.
No, they weren't, and they didn't have that same spark. You know, Jim Leavitt likes high energy, high motivated people, and it seemed like once they got that first loss, since they started 5-0, they were 2-5 since that point.
Well, Jim Leavitt has watched the first 15 minutes expire here from Toronto, and the Bulls coming in averaging 26 right now with a 39-yard field goal by Eric Schwartz. And so far, that's the only scoring so far for Jerry Kill of the Huskies of Northern Illinois. They're hanging in there, and they are tough, and they're on the move. Second quarter coming up. Back in Toronto, just outside the Rogers Center, where temperatures, I'm told, are about 1 degree. Nice and toasty inside. Beautiful city, though, here in Toronto on the northwestern shore of Lake Ontario. About 2.5 million residents. And Jerry Kill, just his second season now, back-to-back bowl games for the first time in the history of the program. 77 yards compared to 37 yards for the Bulls in the first quarter.
Yeah, done a nice job in this set of downs, moving the football, and I look for him to use some of those big receivers on the outside. Landon Cox goes at 6'3", and Marcus Lewis at 6'3". Maybe a jump ball here later in this series.
Harnish swings it out, finds his man at the 22, inside the 20. Stretching out is Marcus Lewis, the senior. A gain of 8 on the play. I want to mention back-to-back bowl games for the first time since becoming a major college. And you look at South Florida and Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois started the season 3-3. They had a nice little run going before they closed out the campaign with back-to-back losses. But those losses to the Ohio Bobcats, who played in a bowl game, and Central Michigan playing Troy. Central Michigan, the champions and probably the premier team of the MAC in recent years.
Yeah, and this whole staff's only been together for 2 years, so they're trying to get their philosophy on both sides of the football.
Harnish with the lob up top, looking for his fullback. That's Kyle Scarb, and it falls incomplete. Nate Allen on the coverage for the Bulls.
There's been some infighting in the trenches going on the last couple of plays, and Terrell McLean and some of the offensive linemen in Tensei, the right tackle for the Huskies, as you see the pass just overthrown, trying to get the wheel route on the outside. There were multiple flags on that last play.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense number 97. Half the distance to the goal from the previous spot, automatic first down.
Well, that's a big one against Terrell McLean, the junior from Pensacola, and Jim Leavitt obviously not happy with that because Big Mo was already shifting over to the Huskies to start with.
Yeah, and they always get the second guy, and it was Terrell McLean that was the second guy. It seemed like Tensei, the right tackle for the Huskies on offense, the last couple of plays he's been blocking, and you know they say to block to the whistle, he was going to the echo of the whistle. and Terrell had enough, and it cost him 15 yards.
McLean, the most consistent performer on the interior line. Big penalty now, so it's a first down, first and goal at the 8. Harnish tucks it up, he's going down. Great job by Chris Robinson, sniffed that one out from the weak side as he was coming from the get-go.
Robinson comes on a blitz from the wide side, and he's unblocked, and there you see an example of the team speed for South Florida coming on the edge and tackling Harnish. He's going to come from outside right there, and he does a great job from right to left getting Harnish behind the line of scrimmage.
Number 80, Landon Cox, their leading receiver, gets up very gingerly He's limping off the field right now. 44 catches, last 4 games, 23 catches for 314 yards. So if you're the quarterback and you turn and you see him walking off, it kind of gives you an empty feeling.
It sure does. I mean, it's one of those guys you depend on. 44 receptions. He has 4 touchdowns, and he's crucial in the scoring zone. When they get down in the red zone, this offense very efficient in scoring points, and they do a good job of sticking it in the end zone.
4 touchdown receptions for Landon Cox on the year. And so Harnish goes back to work on the 9th play. They started back at the 27-yard line, their own 27. Fires, finds the big man, the tight end. That's Reed Cunningham with his 4th catch of the season. Gets down near the 5-yard line. Again, Mr. Clutch, Nate Allen, on the defensive stop after a gain of 6.
Nice open field tackle by Nate Allen coming from that secondary, that safety position. Good fake on a play, the play fake by Harnish, and then he gets it to his tight end. We talked about it before the broadcast, Mike. These tight ends, limited receptions, but they each have a touchdown, so they know how to get into the end zone. And the Huskies knocking on the door here, but Nate Allen doing a good job with the 4 picks on the season, 3rd in the Big East Conference. He knows how to close on the football.
What a career he's had, huh, for the Bulls. 9 career interceptions. Harnish with the lob, and it's incomplete. To the intended receiver was Marcus Lewis, the senior out of Kearney. Jerome Murphy covering for the Bulls. You look at this Husky offense, you know, they're tied for 1st in the country as far as red zone scoring. 45 trips, they've scored 43 times.
Yeah, they've done a great job inside the red zone, and we mentioned that Jerry Kill may look to go to that jump ball later in the series of downs. They tried to get it outside to Marcus Lewis, but the quarterback Chandler Harnish needs to keep that football in between the white lines, and he may have gotten a pass interference call there.
Here's Mike Salerno. He's hit his last 8 field goals. This one a 21-yard attempt. And Salerno, 5th-year senior, drills it through the uprights. And with 13:19 to go before halftime, we have a 3-3 ball game. Jerry Kill trying to become the first Mid-American Conference team to pick up a victory here in Toronto.
You know what 2:30 in the afternoon feels like, right? Sleepy? Groggy?
Movies playing on channels 125 through 199.
Back inside the Rogers Center here in Toronto as the Huskies of Northern Illinois have tied it up here in the 2nd quarter with 13:19 to go. Tied up at 3-3. And obviously the longer they hang in that game and the more they keep the Bulls off the scoreboard, that favors them.
Well, we talked at the open about the team speed of South Florida. Would the Huskies be able to control and tackle in space and stay on people defensively? Well, they've answered that question so far. They've done a nice job of preventing the big play, and that's the one thing the South Florida Bulls really rely on. Big play offense, big plays out of B.J. Daniels, and I think the Huskies have really done a great job to this point.
Mike Salerno's kick. Murphy back at the goal line. Jerome Murphy hurdles over the 15, up over the 20, dropped at the 21-yard line. Well, 16 Canadians played for Northern Illinois back in the 90s. One of them, Orlando Bowen, stopped by the practice and really got this team jacked up this week. Pretty passionate. They were ready to go. Some of the Huskies said they wish the game was yesterday.
Yeah, the guys were ready to play right after that. They did a good job of getting some of their alumni involved.
Tied up at 3 after the 69-yard drive of the Huskies. And this is Mo Plancher with the carry. Not too much running room. Tyrone Clark, the true freshman, with the tackle. A gain of nothing that time. He got back to the line of scrimmage.
Well, 6 rushes so far for -9 yards for the Bulls in this offense. And we talked about big plays and the big play ability of B.J. Daniels and about him leaving the pocket and getting that running game started, and that opens up the passing game. But so far, the Husky defense has been able to be really disciplined in their lanes and shut down the running game.
Plancher again, up over the 21-yard line. And making the stop is Alan Baxter along with DJ Perkle, the defensive tackle.
Yeah, as Baxter goes out to the sidelines and then back to the huddle now. We've mentioned his name a couple of times, and it's one of those guys that just a freshman. He came into the game with 20 total tackles, but he's been in multiple tackles, and he's been around the football causing havoc all along that line of scrimmage.
So it's 3rd and 10 for the Bulls now, and they haven't been able to play in space. The Huskies were worried about playing in space. They've kept it confined to the line of scrimmage so far. Daniels showing his wheels. It's complete up over the 35. And the ball is complete to the freshman. That's Sterling Griffin with the reception. Tracy Wilson, the leading tackler, making the pop at a gain of 15 for the Bulls. First down.
Well, there's an example of eluding in the backfield, keeping your eyes downfield and finding the open receiver. A nice close hit by Tracy Wilson coming from that secondary, but B.J. Daniels does a nice job, and that's the first down on 3rd down for either one of these teams.
And Mike Canales, the offensive coordinator, saying that he's studied a lot of film over recent weeks. He really wants to be good, and I think once he learns how to play this position, he is going to be good. Remember, he's a freshman. Well, Thursday, January 7th, ABC delivers #1 versus #2 in the City BCS National Championship game. Can Colt McCoy lead Texas to their first championship since that 2006 Rose Bowl? Or will Heisman winner Mark Ingram lead the Crimson Tide to the Promised Land? The City BCS National Championship game on ABC Thursday, January 7th at 8 Eastern.
You know, Mike, a guy we really haven't talked about is Carlton Mitchell to the short side of the screen up on top. He needs to be a factor in this offense for the Bulls.
He has 1 catch so far this afternoon. Blanchard, he's got some running room. Breaks to the outside near the midfield stripe. Mo Blanchard, the senior out of Naples. Mike Sobel making the stop after a gain of 12. Now Blanchard's going to come back right after this game and petition the NCAA, looking for that 6th year because he's been so banged up.
Yeah, they've had some injuries at that tailback position, but Mo Blanchard does a nice job of exploding through the line of scrimmage that time for another first down. And the Bulls, just as the Huskies got some momentum on that last offensive set of downs, the Bulls now trying to string plays together.
1st and 10 from the 49-yard line. Daniels. There he goes, doing his thing, but this time he's going down. Dragged down by the true freshman Tyrone Clark. That's the 2nd big defensive play that Clark has made.
Well, Tyrone Clark does an excellent job of using his speed to track down one of the fastest guys on the field, and that's B.J. Daniels. He reverses field, but number 36, Clark, you can see him right there. He's lucky he didn't get called for a horse collar tackle there, but it was a great play by Clark deep behind the line of scrimmage. And that time the Huskies show some team speed on defense. A loss of 20 on the play, so Clark filling in for some injuries today, making a big play.
2nd and 30 for Daniels. Avoids the rush, fires over the middle, and this one's almost picked off. Number 26, Corey Hansen, the 5th-year senior from Minneapolis, almost had that one. A couple inches lower, he would have had it.
Pretty good job of causing havoc in the backfield again by the down people for the Huskies defensively. As you said it, Mike, right in the hands there. Sometimes you come up with a big play, you can turn momentum on defense in that secondary, but a good job by the front 4, getting a lot of pressure on B.J. Daniels.
3rd and 30 for the 29-yard line. Daniels steps up, fires at the 50. It's complete. They have to get all the way down to the 41 for the first down, but Carlton Mitchell with a 2nd catch. Must have heard you talking, John. A gain of 23 on the play.
Well, I think he just needs to be a factor in this football game. He's such a big play guy on the outside. He's sure-handed. He's got great size at 6'4", 212, and they have to try to go to him on the outside. That's a good play on 3rd and long for Coach Jim Leavitt by B.J. Daniels. He gets back that field position that'll allow the punting team to maybe pin the Huskies deep in their own end.
Alvarado back on to punt it. Mitchell, as we mentioned, broke the career receiving record against UConn. Needs 50 yards coming in for the single-season record at USF. Fair catch called for. And boy, there's a lot of traffic down there as Tommy Davis called for the fair catch. A 20-yard punt that time for Alvarado. He'd gotten off a 41-yard punt the last time out.
We're going to go to break.
So 9 minutes and 30 seconds to go. 3-3 Bulls Huskies in the 2010 International Bowl. B.J. Daniels doing his thing, but not that time. Sacked again.
ESPN College Football, the International Bowl, is brought to you by 5-Hour Energy. Hours of energy now, no crash later. For more information, visit 5hourenergy.com. And Acura. Acura Advance.
Well, back in Toronto, and John, we can't be in Canada without talking about one of your favorite sports here, the guys with the sticks in the States.
Yeah, that's a passion of mine. I can't skate, but my son skates very well. He plays for the Florida Junior Panthers back at home, and it's always fun to watch hockey, and that's the mecca, really, of Toronto. You talk about the Maple Leafs, and it's hockey year-round here.
Yeah, that last time out, the Bulls were staring over at that Northern Illinois sideline, almost as if to say, boy, these guys are tough. Tougher than we thought. And Murphy, nice defensive play, and he was looking for the pick as Jerome Murphy. It would have been number 4 on him. Intended receiver was Nathan Palmer.
Great recovery speed that time by Jerome Murphy, because Chandler Harnish had his man running down the sideline. He had a wide open Nathan Palmer. All he had to do was put a little bit more air underneath the football, but it's great recovery speed and great closure by the cornerback Jerome Murphy, who not only tips the football but almost comes down with a big interception.
Harnish 6 for 9, 60 yards, throwing the football here today. Span gets the call, hits the middle of that line, moves the pile to about the 30-yard line, not much more. A gain of 3 on the play before George Selvey gets credited with the tackle.
You talk about George Selvey, one of those two-time All-Americans, the Big East Player of the Year last year in the 08 season, and he's had some help on the other side by Jason Pierre-Paul, but it's one of those guys that you can always depend on. He's going to give you effort. He's not a big guy by stature in weight-wise at only 245 to play the edge, so he may be a tweener guy going to the next level.
Bulls showing blitz. Harnish fires, still completes it at the 40-yard line. And again, it's Marcus Lewis as Nate Allen makes the stop, but the Bulls were coming from the far side on the edge. Harnish did a great job of eluding the rush.
And the toughest throw for a quarterback is going to your left, being pursued, and being able to make an accurate throw, and that's exactly what Chandler Harnish does. Watch him square his shoulders and be accurate with the football. This is a guy that's doing a great job moving the offense the last couple of series. Takes the big hit from Minstrel Raymond on the outside, but he's a tough guy, and he's becoming a leader today.
Gain of 10 on the play, another first down for the Huskies. Span tries to break it to the outside. Good job getting around the ankles. Jason Pierre-Paul on the tackle. A loss of 2 on the play that time.
Well, another tackle for loss for Jason Pierre-Paul. That makes 15.5 on the season. He just dominates that line of scrimmage, pushing the would-be blocker in the backfield. Tensei, the right tackle, he was about 3 yards in that offensive backfield, and that's just good strength and leverage. Jason Pierre-Paul has such a great wingspan. He just launches those shoulders at you, and he can make you stop.
We're inside the Rogers Center in Toronto, Ontario for the 2010 International Bowl, along with John Congemi, David Amber. I'm Mike Gleason. Great to have you with us. As the Huskies and the Bulls are battling right now in a 3-3 tie. Span gets the call as we head downstairs and check in with David.
Well, some good news for the Huskies, guys. I was just on their sidelines, and Landon Cox leads the team in receptions and receiving touchdowns. They were working on his injured right foot. They taped it up. He's out there for this series. I looked at him. He looked at me. I said, "You good to go?" He said, "I'm good to go."
Playing on adrenaline, David. Playing on adrenaline. Cox, as we mentioned, the leading receiver for this team. They need that young man. He gets an extra hop in his step after getting taped up on the sidelines. Trips down the bottom of your screen. Harnish looking, and he overshoots his man. That time Martell Moore was the intended receiver, the freshman out of San Antonio. His high school coach played for Jerry Kill, and he never heard of Northern Illinois. And he said, it's outside of Chicago. He said, boy, that's cold up there, but I wanted something different, and he enjoys it very much there.
Well, a little communication breakdown on that third down play, and you can see head coach Jerry Kill not satisfied with what happened on third down. It looked like Moore wanted to go deep, and Harnish thought he was going to run a deep outside route.
Well, we saw Josh Wilburn punting in the first quarter. Here's Mike Salerno with his first punt this afternoon. Low line drive kick, and it's taken at the 26-yard line, and he is thrown down. That's Farron Horns, thrown down inside the 10. A 45-yard punt, no return, and the Bulls will have the ball. When we come back, the Bulls will try to get that offense on track here in Toronto, tied at 3-3 with the Huskies.
Join Boomer.
Not too heavy, not too light. Bud Light. The difference is drinkability.
Call off the tanks.
There's Matt Grothe with the cap on. Grothe, the owner of 4 of the top 5 passing games in USF history. Almost 11,000 yards of total offense for this young man, and he's relegated to the sidelines thanks to an ACL injury.
Yeah, earlier in the season, that left leg in the South Florida Bulls offense looked like it was going to go down the tubes, and Matt Grothe, who's been a big part of this offense over his 4-year career, you can see him hold that left leg and that left knee. The ACL injury sidelines him for the season, but he's been Mr. Everything for the South Florida Bulls over his career. He became the Big East all-time leader in total offense, and he's just such a competitor. And I think, it opened the door, yes, for B.J. Daniels to become a big part of this offense, but I think you missed the experience of a Matt Grothe.
Yeah, before he went down, Colt McCoy was the only active quarterback in Division 1A or FBS who had started more career victories than Matt Grothe. Check his numbers after this play. B.J. Daniels now out of the shotgun, fires far side. This one's complete. Boy, he threaded the needle that time. Theo Wilson, who's been battling a hamstring problem, makes the catch his 10th of the season, a gain of 13 as we take a look at the numbers now of Matt Grothe. Almost 11,000 yards of offense.
Yeah, the numbers are just off the charts, and you can see the touchdowns he created, 5th all-time in the Big East, but the total offense 1st in the Big East. Pass completion 2nd, passing yards 4th. He was a big play guy and a consistent entity for this offense over the last 4 years.
23 rushing touchdowns, 52 passing touchdowns for Matt Grothe. Here's Mike Ford breaking to the outside. Ford up over the 40-yard line, driven out at about the 45. So the junior out of Sarasota getting his first carry, and it's a big one for the Bulls. 18 yards on the play.
Well, it's a nice run by Ford, getting to the outside, showing his speed and his athleticism, just bouncing it to the outside. Now, before this play, this offense was only registering minus 16 yards, and they came into the game averaging 169, close to 170 yards per game. So the South Florida Bulls not on track, but Mike Ford doing his best to get him back on track.
And of course, those rushing yards, that 20-yard sack where they lost 20 with B.J. Daniels running around. He coughs up the football this time. Mishandled the snap. And it's going to be a wasted down for the Bulls. It'll be 2nd down and 10 at the 43. Huskies, John, doing a great job with him because we've seen him against Louisville, of course, and had 445 yards of offense, B.J. Daniels did. Boy, against Florida State, against Louisville, and against West Virginia, he had more yards than those teams.
He's done a great job throughout his first year at quarterback, but as you said, Mike, the Huskies really doing a good job of controlling him. I'm surprised the Bulls aren't getting into a more high-tempo offense or a no-huddle offense.
Play action right down the middle, Daniels. And the intended receiver was Carlton Mitchell, the #1 target. And it's going to bring up a 3rd down now. So B.J. Daniels, we talked about the fact that in that Louisville game, 304 yards through the air, 141 to the ground. First player in the Big East history to pass for 300, run for 100 in a ball game. So you know what he's capable of doing.
And he's capable of hitting the big plays. He's missed a couple throws deep down the field, down the middle. Although Mitchell was well covered in the middle, he still had an opening to fit that football in, and I know he's disappointed he missed him on that play.
Bulls are 1 for 5 at 3rd down. This is a 3rd and 11. And the penalty flag drops. B.J. Daniels looking over at that sideline with Jim Levitt, and not quite sure. Some miscommunication problems there.
Well, delay of game, and that's always on the quarterback. And take it from me, I've been yelled at in that position on the sidelines before. You control the 25-second clock, and that's your job to get the snap off or call a timeout. And whether it's miscommunication from the, coming from the sidelines where you're not sure what the play is, you have to decide what the play is, or just take a timeout.
Well, Capital One Bowl Week continues tonight on ESPN with 2 games at 5:30 Eastern. Arkansas takes on the Pirates of East Carolina. That'll be in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. And at 9 o'clock Eastern, Michigan State against Texas Tech in the Valero Alamo Bowl. Capital One Bowl Week on ESPN and ESPN360.com coming up tonight. You look at Michigan State. They lead the Big Ten, 271 passing yards. But Texas Tech, 381.
Yeah, it's going to be a high-scoring affair in that one.
Michigan State at 6-6, and Texas Tech at 8-4. We take a look at Texas Tech seeking the 3rd straight 9-win season, 10th straight bowl appearance for the Red Raiders, and of course with a brand new coach making his debut and maybe auditioning tonight for the head job there at Texas Tech.
We've seen that happen in West Virginia with Bill Stewart a couple of years ago in the Fiesta Bowl.
3rd and 11 for the Bulls. B.J. Daniels had nowhere to go. Once again, Alan Baxter, the true freshman out of Buffalo Grove, Illinois, makes the stop. And it's going to bring up another punting situation, and the Bulls just can't get on track.
Yeah, this defense is doing a great job for Northern Illinois, breaking down the offensive linemen and getting to B.J. Daniels, something that a lot of teams throughout the season weren't able to do. So Jerry Kill and this defense really moving people around and breaking down the blocking assignments up front.
That's the 4th sack for Northern Illinois this afternoon. They had 29 coming in. They had 8 sacks against Miami earlier this year. Alvarado with a nice punt this time. Another fair catch called by Tommy Davis inside the 20. A 41-yard kick, that time by Delbert Alvarado. 4 minutes, 11 seconds to go before halftime. Tied at 3. B.J. Daniels continues to get harassed by that Husky defense.
You know what to do.
Wheat thins. Toasted, whole grain, crunch. The crunch is calling.
That Husky defense was #1 in the Mid-American Conference, giving up 324 yards a game, but 4 sacks. They're really getting after B.J. Daniels here this afternoon.
They've done a nice job of pressuring the pocket and pressuring an athletic quarterback that can get outside of the pocket. I think this defensive front, and they're not sending a lot of linebackers. It's that front 4 that's doing a terrific job, and Alex Baxter, one of the main guys in there, a big sack there on the play by Tyrone Clark, but they're doing a nice job. They're bringing a lot of energy into that defensive front and doing a terrific job of pressuring the pocket. And Tracy Clay's the defensive coordinator, really dialing up the right calls on defense.
Yeah, they say Clay's has done a great job coming up with blitzes out of the nickel package, but as you said, it's all up front here. The span tries to hit the right side over the 20, gain a couple as Keon Wilson makes the stop. At the 4-minute mark before halftime here in Toronto. Eric Schwartz started the game out with a 39-yard field goal after the Huskies on their first possession tried a fake punt at about the midfield stripe. And the Huskies' first 3 drives is 27 yards. The last 2 starting to get those wheels rolling.
A little bit of momentum, a little bit of rhythm on offense, and you credit the quarterbacking play of Chandler Harnish being able to hit those 2nd and 3rd and long situations and keep the chains moving.
2nd and 8. Harnish comes out firing, has his man. Penalty flag dropped as Landon Cox makes the reception. I'll tell you one thing, John, that secondary for USF, they're still jacked up. Maybe the offense can't get going, but there's some popping of the pads down there.
They're closing on receivers.
Personal foul, chop block, offense. Number 62 blocked an opponent low while his teammate blocked that same opponent high. Half the distance to the goal from the previous spot, still 2nd down.
That's Adrian Hill, a referee out of the Big 12 Conference, as we take another look at it, John.
Yeah, I think it's right here where you get the chop block. And it's just on the outside between guard and tackle, Tensei and Pollock on the outside. And that's the first penalty against the Huskies today. So they've done a nice job of staying away from the penalties, but it's going to back them up inside the 15-yard line, close to the 10.
A very disciplined team. 5.5 penalties per game, about 47 yards. And you look at that 7-5 record, they had 7 games decided by 8 points or less. So Jerry Kill told us yesterday that he knows only in his 2nd year he's got to keep recruiting, bring in those faster players, and done a great job in 2 seasons in DeKalb. Second and 18. Harnish. That was a run from the get-go. Saw the opening. Gets up over the 15. Dropped. And dropped pretty hard by Keon Wilson, making his final appearance in a Bull uniform. A gain of 5 on the play.
Well, quarterback draw all the way, but that was definitely a hard tackle by Keon Wilson. The guy that really the leader of this defense. He's been terrific this year. He's been slowed by a foot injury against UConn in the last game, but he's done a terrific job on the inside all year long for this Bulls defense.
-1 yard rushing for the Bulls. 37 now for the Huskies. Third down, Northern Illinois 1 for 7 so far this afternoon. This is a 3rd and long. Right over the middle, finds his man, and that's the best way to pick up a first down. Reed Cunningham came in with only 3 catches, John. That's his 2nd so far today.
And that's a courageous throw by a young quarterback, Chandler Harnish, over the middle. He had pressure in his face. Terrell McLean was right in his face, and he's able to complete the pass for 19 yards. Watch McLean, middle of your screen there. He's going to get the pressure and really sack, or try to sack Chandler Harnish, but he gets it away just in time to his big target going down the middle. That's just a terrific job by a young quarterback.
Dancing bear Terrell McLean was all over Harnish, but he completes the ball for 19. It's a first down as we approach the 2-minute mark here before halftime. Spann gets the call, hits the left side, picks up a couple. Jason Pierre-Paul making the stop for the Bulls. This Bull defense, the first 5 games of the 2009 season, they were giving up 9 points a game. From games 5 through 9, they give up 31 points a game. So it's been a roller coaster ride for these guys.
Yeah, the caliber of opponents started to step up as that season went on, and the Bulls really were reeling in the middle part of that season, and that added to their 2-5 stretch.
2nd and 8, Twins. Or Trips, rather, at the bottom of your screen. It's complete once again as Marcus Lewis pulls in his 3rd catch of the afternoon. And that's going to be good for another first down, a gain of 12 for the Huskies.
Well, a little bit more urgency now with 1:15 before halftime. The Huskies need to move with efficiency, and a good job on the outside. A nice tough catch by Marcus Lewis that moves the chains again right at the 50-yard line. I look for the Huskies right now to maybe take a shot downfield.
Harnish came in averaging about 22 passing attempts a game. Pressure, and the ball was actually tipped. Good job by Jaquan Williams, the junior. They say the fastest linebacker on this USF team, and he was chasing down.
It looked like it because a former quarterback watching it right now. I'm going, throw it, throw it. Here he comes from behind, and here comes Williams with a head of steam from behind, and Harnish takes the shot again in the backfield. But it's one of those things where you can't see him, you only can feel him, and that clock in the quarterback's head has to go off. He was able to get it away, but Williams was in hot pursuit.
When we found out Miko Brown wasn't here, the other running back, did you figure Harnish should be throwing it a little more than 22 times?
Yeah, maybe a little bit more due to the fact of his absence.
Harnish feels it. They were coming from the far side on the edge. And Raymond, Mr. Raymond, who didn't even play spring ball, and J.R. Reed, one of the top safeties ever to play in this game, he's helping out now. He's one of the assistant coaches. He said this guy was awesome. Didn't play spring ball. He could play any one of those positions in the secondary.
Yeah, a walk-on that came in is a big part of the success of this defense, especially in the run support. He's done a nice job pressuring the pocket on that play, and Raymond did a great job of coming untouched to get to the quarterback.
He was playing junior college football in Kansas, gets a phone call late, about 4 a.m. actually, early one morning, and his mother and sisters were screaming because someone drove by. It was a drive-by shooting. Their house got shot up, and it was the wrong house. They were shooting at the wrong house, so he had some offers, and he walked on at USF instead. USF 3-3 here in Toronto. Let's check in with the studios now back in Bristol with, here's Dari Noka. Dari?
All right, guys, thanks so much. Just want to let you know, coming up in under one football minute, we're talking H&R Block halftime report. Look back at a tremendous way to end the season for Florida's Tim Tebow, perhaps making a statement about an NFL quarterbacking future. Also, our game day crew out in California breaks down Alabama and Texas as they get us ready for that BCS National Championship game. See you at the half, guys.
All right, thanks a lot, Dari. I look forward to that coming up at halftime. Inside a minute here from Toronto now. 54 seconds to go. Harnish. little more time that time, but he's probably thinking someone's coming, so he throws the errant pass.
Well, that's a good call on third down. You could feel and you can see Harnish's feet trying to move, but he had time in the pocket and just delivered the ball high on the outside, trying to get it to Marcus Lewis. But that was a good drive coming out close to their own 10-yard line with not a lot of time left before halftime to regain some field position and make it tougher on the Bulls to score before halftime.
Here's Farron Horns back to receive the punt with 48 seconds to go. Mike Salerno, the fifth-year senior. Fair catch called at the 10. 90 yards away, 42 seconds to go after the 40-yard punt. So the Bulls of USF, they come into the game averaging about 362 yards of offense, and right now B.J. Daniels and company, they're really having a tough time getting on track.
It's been a struggle. It's been a struggle for consistency for this Bulls offense, and that's due to the front four for Northern Illinois. They've done a nice job in pressuring B.J. Daniels, who's a big playmaker by using his legs that sets up the pass. He's been unable to get on track and get a streak or get any rhythm going on offense. Total yards today for the Bulls, 97 yards, so well under their average.
Not what they were expecting. It's exactly what the Huskies were hoping. Bo Plancher back in the backfield with Daniels. And he's going down. Wow, that was Brandon Bice. Hit immediately. Daniels saw something there, took off running, and all of a sudden the big red jersey.
It was a Bice train coming from the edge. That was a big-time play by Brandon on that left end. He's going to come underneath and just does a terrific job coming to the middle and putting the smackdown on B.J. Daniels, as we talked about before that play, unable to get on track to get any rhythm in this offense.
Loss of 3 on the play, and that's going to be the final play of the first half as the Bulls start heading for the locker room, and there goes Jerry Kill and the Huskies. B.J. Daniels, look of frustration on his face that time as we go downstairs and check in with David Amber with Jim Levitt.
Coach Levitt, all year you guys have made big offensive plays. What's been the struggle so far this afternoon?
Well, we're not handling pressure very well, and they're man up. They're able to stay on top of our receivers pretty well. We've got to be able to get in and run the ball, and we got to probably put the ball in Mike Ford's hand a little bit in the second half and see if we can just run the ball a little bit, protect BJ a little bit more.
What's your message to your players going into the second half?
Well, we got to be able to move the ball offensively. Defense is playing pretty well. We want to make sure that we do a great job with special teams as well, but offensively, we got to be able to run the ball a little bit in the second half. That's going to be important.
All right, thanks. Coach Levitt's been working the voice, as you can hear already. 3-3 as we go into the third quarter. Up to you guys.
Well, David, if Mike Ford gets some carries, he had 1 carry in the first half for 18 yards. We played 30 minutes here from Toronto, the 4th annual International Bowl here from the Rogers Center. Tied up at 3-3. Let's go back with Dari Noka. Dari?
Hey, wouldn't you know it? You put a bowl game in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and a hockey score comes your way in the first half. 3-3, Northern Illinois and South Florida. Lots to get to coming up here on this H&R Block halftime report. We're going to send it out to our game day crew out in Pasadena in just a few minutes as they get you all set for Alabama and Texas and the BCS National Championship game coming our way on Thursday. Also, going to take a look back at what Tim Tebow did in his last collegiate football game. Would you expect anything less from the man wearing number 15 in Florida Gator colors? A record-setting performance.
This halftime report is presented by H&R Block. For all of your tax questions, click, call, or come over. H&R Block. Get it right.
Verizon makes a big deal about their maps, but when you look a little closer, their story begins to fall apart. See, AT&T lets you talk on the phone while you surf the web. Verizon doesn't. AT&T has the most popular smartphones and the nation's fastest 3G network. Verizon doesn't. Glad that's cleared up. Oh,
AT&T, a better 3G experience. Get an exclusive Pantech messaging phone free after mail-in rebate, only from AT&T.
Ouch! Tired of getting nicks and cuts from blades that go ooh
Ooh, dull after just a few shaves? Now there's an easy way to save your money and your skin no matter what razor you use. Introducing Save-A-Blade, the ingenious razor sharpener that can give you up to 200 perfect shaves from a single blade. Just slide the razor inside, press the button, and in seconds your razor blade is like new again. It's truly like turning one razor blade into 40 brand new blades, saving you hundreds of dollars every year and giving you the perfect shave every time. The same technology used in commercial kitchens to sharpen and hone fine cutlery has now been adapted for the razor. Barbershops have always sharpened and honed their blades for the smoothest shaves, but the razor companies don't want us to know that we can too. Save-A-Blade's secret is our patented micro-honing technology that sweeps across the...
And in the NHL, the Blues fire head coach Andy Murray. Davis Payne has been named St. Louis's interim coach. All right, straight ahead, more from a defensive struggle. Jason Pierre-Paul, part of a defensive outburst by South.
This halftime report is presented by H&R Block. For all of your tax questions, click, call, or come over. H&R Block. Get it right.
Many will hear the calling.
This is ESPN's presentation of Capital One Bowl Week.
Welcome back inside the Rogers Center in Toronto, Ontario, the 2010 International Bowl. And right now the Huskies of Northern Illinois defensively, they're playing like a champion. Tied up at 3-3 with the Bulls of South Florida out of the Big East Conference. John Congemi talking with both coaches yesterday. I don't think anyone predicted a 3-3 game at halftime.
Well, defense has been the story, Mike, and I think both teams have been able to shut down the big play opportunities. I think for Northern Illinois, they've been able to control the line of scrimmage, and that's been the thing that they were worried about coming into this ball game. And for South Florida, we talked about speed and space. They haven't been able to use that to their advantage, and that's been the story in the first half.
Harassment is the key as we take a look at some of the highlights of the first half, and it's all harassing B.J. Daniels.
And it's been harassment in the offensive backfield. Jason Pierre-Paul, he has a sack on the game. He has 2 tackles for a loss. He's been dominant up front. They haven't been able to get the running game on track for the Huskies. Offensive line has been lacking in that department. Not a lot of big holes, but B.J. Daniels has been under harassment the entire afternoon, not being able to escape the pressure in the pocket, mainly by the front 4 of the Huskies. They've done a nice job of containing him, and Tracy Wilson here with a big sack on B.J. Daniels. So he's done a nice job of really controlling the big play ability of number 7.
30 minutes in, tied up at 3-3. Let's go downstairs with David Amber standing by with Jerry Kill. David?
Coach Kill, what was your message at halftime for your team?
Well, the big thing is right now we're right where we need to be. You know, we've played our guts out. Our defense has played very well. Offensively, we've sputtered a little bit, but we haven't turned the ball over. And we just got to get some consistency going offensively, continue to play well defensively, and be good in the kicking game.
Why do you think you've been able to impose your will defensively on this team?
Well, I think our kids were, I think our defensive coaches did a good job with the scheme. We played pretty disciplined defense so far, but that's only for one half. We got to do it a second half.
Any more football? Good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
All right, thanks a lot, David. And John Congemi, the question I pose to you is why can't South Florida get out on the edge?
You know, I think it's discipline, and I think, as Coach Kill said, it's a great game plan by the Huskies, especially on defense. They've done a nice job of being disciplined, staying in their lanes when they're rushing B.J. Daniels, because we know what a threat. We've seen this guy work a couple times during the season. He's got great explosiveness if he gets outside of the pocket. Northern Illinois has been able to control the athleticism.
Mike Salerno with the kick in the second half is underway. Taken inside the 5-yard line, Dontavia Bogan. Bogan up over the 20, loses the football at the 26-yard line. Penalty flag dropped at the 30. He saw that opening, he took off and just simply, the ball slipped out of his arm.
Yeah, and it looked like Patrick Hampton, number 41 for the Bulls, was the guy that got on the football and saved the turnover.
10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul, first out.
Well, this was a big play opportunity for Bogan. He hits the hole with authority, but he forgets one thing. The loaf of bread's coming out the back door. And a good heads-up play that time by Patrick Hampton to get on the football for the Bulls on special teams.
Bogan last year in a game against UConn had 2 kick returns for 135 yards. That's a Big East record. Boy, he saw an opening and he could feel a touchdown coming.
I know. I think his eyes got real big and just forgot the football.
Mike Ford in at running back behind B.J. Daniels now. First play, second half. Here's Ford. He had 1 carry for 18 yards in the first 30 minutes. Gets up over the 20. A gain of 5. Chris Smith making the tackle. As we take a look at the numbers in the first half, -3 rushing yards for the Bulls.
Yeah, it's hard to believe with B.J. Daniels, as athletic as he is, wouldn't be able to generate more offense. But you have to credit the defensive front for the Huskies. They've done a nice job of containing, and we talked about running the football. At least Coach tried to talk about that. Jim Levitt did. They're going to go to Ford more in the second half.
2nd and 5 from the 22-yard line. Ride the big guy, number 4, Mike Ford, still on his feet. Ford to the 30. Ford. Mike Ford just shy of the 40-yard line. Chris Smith finally ran him down. And it's another big gainer for Mike Ford. 36 yards that time for the Bulls, and now they're on the move.
And this is a big back, Mike. He's not one of those smallish backs. Mike Ford goes at 6'2", 225 pounds. You can see him break the tackle and get to that second level. He did a nice job of breaking the tackle of Tracy Wilson, number 25. The safety's going to hit him there in the hole, and then he keeps those legs going and makes a big play downfield. That's what the Bulls offense has been lacking in the first half.
Wilson, the strong safety, looked like he tried to strip the ball instead of wrapping him up. Ford again, just shy of the 40-yard line as Pat Schiller, the middle linebacker, makes the stop. Interesting story there, too. Pat Schiller, he went to all these camps in the Midwest, Purdue, Indiana, Illinois, and they kept telling him he's a step slow, inch short. And Schiller says, you know what, let me put some pads on and show you what I can do. He did that at Eastern Illinois. He got offered a scholarship. But Eastern Illinois, of course, wasn't Division 1A at the time. And Northern Illinois, 2 weeks before camp opened, finally offered him a deal. So it's amazing what guys can do in pads versus just time and size. It's how much heart they have. And right now the Bulls trying to get that heart pumping. As Daniels gets inside the 40-yard line, penalty flag dropped. Back near the 41.
Illegal for.
That's Adrian Hill, a referee out of the Big 12 Conference. We'll await the call here early in the second half, tied up at 3-3.
There is no foul in the play for illegal formation. There are only 4 players in the backfield. 3rd down.
So Jim Levitt now facing a 3rd down. Now, he told David before he headed to the locker room, we're going to see more of Mike Ford. And I always thought Ford probably didn't get enough carries anyway. He had that huge freshman year.
Well, there's always been those injury bugs, and it's gone through the running backs. It hasn't been one guy, but now Mike Ford looks like he's going to be the main guy in the second half for Jim Levitt and B.J. Daniels on offense.
Look at the rushing yards there, -3 yards in the first half. 42 so far. Daniels fires, finds his man. Whoa! He's still on his feet. That's Mitchell, 10-yard line, pushed out of bounds just shy of the 5-yard line. It looked like the ball was going to come loose. And after the juggling act, he said, hey, if you're not going to tackle me, I'll take off.
That's a strong young man on the outside. Carlton Mitchell goes for 31 yards, and it's just a simple, quick release, 3-step drop out of the shotgun, but you see the strength and concentration on the outside by Carlton Mitchell. He's able to secure the football after the first catch, the bobble, and then the strength shown in the speed on the outside gets the Bulls in striking distance inside the 10 at the 6.
He's got 62 receiving yards now, so Mitchell just broke the single-season record after breaking the career record against UConn in the season finale. Ford gets the call. He's wrapped up, dropped at about the 8-yard line. DJ Perkle, the junior out of Frankfort, Illinois, making the stop.
Mike, this is usually B.J. Daniels' territory inside the 10-yard line. You may see him try to give him a two-way go on the outside. Get him outside of the pocket, either give him the option to run the football or throw it to one of his splendid wide receivers on the outside, but give him that option and get him out on the edge.
These two schools have met twice over the years. They've split the two. Northern Illinois winning in Illinois 20-17, then losing down in Tampa 36-7. But now Daniels fires, and this one's incomplete. Dontavia Bogan, the intended receiver. So the Bulls, even if you get a field goal, though, it's a little bit disheartening not to put 6 points on the board.
Absolutely. This has been a drive that they've been trying to draw up. This is what they talked about at halftime, trying to be more physical. Jim Leavitt talked about going to halftime. We wanted to be more physical, get Mike Ford involved, but now it's B.J. Daniels on a 3rd and goal that may have to make a play.
Evan Landy, the backup quarterback, in the slot right now. 5 receivers on the field for the Bulls. Here comes the rush, the pass, it's complete. Mitchell inside the 5, down to about the 2-yard line. And Chris Smith making the stop, one of the few Floridians on this team. Smith played his high school ball at Palmetto, Florida. Actually played his junior college ball at the same school as Mistral Raymond, who we saw made the big hit for USF in the first half.
And Mike, that's back-to-back plays for Chris Smith, the corner out of Palmetto, Florida. Did a great job of coverage on 2nd down and a good stop on 3rd down, and it brings out the field goal unit for the Bulls.
Eric Schwartz started this game off with a 39-yard field goal. This one from 19. He's hit 8 of his last 10. And he splits the uprights, so Schwartz with a couple of field goals for 6 points in the ball game, and the only 6 points for the Bulls here in this 2010 International Bowl. 10:35 to go in the 3rd quarter. The offense woke up a little bit as B.J. Daniels finds his favorite receiver, Carlton Mitchell.
Energy drinks I was using.
Well, the greater Toronto area is known as the Golden Horseshoe. For most of these players, it's the Great White North. We're back in Toronto, Ontario. 10:35 to go. 6-3 the Bulls on top of the Huskies now. As you take a look at the first half, 95 yards, the last drive, 81 for USF.
Yeah, the Bulls did a nice job of coming out of halftime, trying to get back to their roots, their running game, and Mike Ford did an excellent job of getting a big play to put him in position, and Carlton Mitchell had a big catch also on that drive that led them to the field goal.
Eric Schwartz teeing it up once again for the Bulls, something he was hoping to do a lot here today. 2 field goals, one from 39, one from 19 for number 32. Only scoring for the Bulls. They're up 6-3. Here's the kick. Tommy Davis at about the 5-yard line. Davis hit, spins over the 30, still on his feet. Just shy of the 35. Penalty flag dropped at about the 36-yard line. A 30-yard return as we take a look at the last drive for USF. What are they doing differently, John?
Well, they were able to establish the running game and get those offensive linemen out in space, and good tough running in between the tackles. Mike Ford, a big part of that. He had a season long of 26-yard run, but he had a 31-yard run that made it the longest of the season for him. In the first half, Carlton Mitchell only 2 catches for 31 yards. In that last drive, he had 2 catches for 37 yards. So they were able to get big plays out of some of the guys they were depending on in the first half. They came out and showed some toughness in that drive for head coach Jim Leavitt.
Well, you'd mentioned in the first 30 minutes that Mitchell was that big play guy that hadn't touched the ball that much. 9 plays of 50 and over in his career, as Harnish takes over now for the Huskies. Spann up over the 30, dropped at about the 32-yard line. A nice run by Spann. You know, earlier in the broadcast, we talked about that win over Purdue where they opened up a 28-7 lead. We said Miko Brown rushed for 150 yards. I want to give Miko a shout out there. He's back in Mississippi taking care of some family business or personal issues. In that Purdue game, 150 yards, he said he had a migraine, upset stomach. His legs felt like tree trunks, and he rushes for 150. Threw up 4 times after his touchdown run, and so they could use the young man here this afternoon. Spann averaging about 13 carries a game. He has been the workhorse so far here today. Harnish hit, almost picked off. Wow, probably should have been picked off by Joseph. Sabbath Joseph, the junior out of Miami, had it, and it slipped right through his hands. Once again, the dancing bear, Terrell McClain, putting pressure on Harnish.
That was a good job up the middle. Terrell McClain, number 97, is going to break through that offensive front, deliver a good shot on quarterback Chandler Harnish just as he was ready to step into that throw, and that hit almost caused a big play, an interception for the Bulls.
3rd and 2. They have it. It's complete, far side. And once again, it's number 80, Landon Cox on the receiving end. Sabbath Joseph covering for the Bulls. A gain of 7. First down, Huskies.
And it's good to see Landon Cox back in the football game for the Huskies. He's a big play receiver, a sure-handed receiver outside. He's a good blocker downfield when they want to run the football with Chad Spann. So that's a guy they can rely on the outside. And that's a quarterback. It's almost like a security blanket for the quarterback on the outside, knowing that number 80 is back in the football game.
There's a pump fake. Harnish looking. A little shoving going on about the 40-yard line. The intended receiver there was Jack Marks. Capital One Bowl Week continues tonight on ESPN with 2 games. First at 5:30 Eastern, it's Arkansas and East Carolina in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Then at 9 o'clock Eastern tonight, Michigan State takes on the Red Raiders of Texas Tech in the Valero Alamo Bowl. Capital One Bowl Week on ESPN and ESPN360.com coming up tonight. And of course, you take a look at that Texas Tech game, and Mike Leach will not be on the sidelines for the Red Raiders, looking for a 9-win season. Spann gets the call. Not too much running room. Gets to the line of scrimmage. Jason Pierre-Paul making the stop as we head downstairs and check in with David.
Well, guys, I was in San Antonio all week covering the Mike Leach firing at Texas Tech, and I can tell you this story is not over yet. Leach has a legal team getting together, looking to get some compensation from about the $10 million that still remains on his contract. He believes he wasn't given his due process throughout this investigation. He thought they were speedy in firing him, and he's looking to get that money back. Meanwhile, Ruffin McNeil, the interim head coach, says he would absolutely be delighted to stick on as the head coach at Texas Tech, and that Adam James, the player at the center of the controversy, has a place on his team. Guys?
All right, thanks a lot, David. Almost picked off by Murphy. Would have been his 4th this year. Intended receiver Nathan Palmer. That whole Mike Leach story is a little bit out there for me. It's kind of bizarre as a fan. You look at it and say, what the heck is going on?
A lot of these stories come from left field, and I think David's right, and I don't think you've heard the end of this story. You know, it's 10 straight bowl appearances. He was 2008 Big 12 Coach of the Year, and this is a guy that had a lot of people on his side, but he rubs people sometimes the wrong way, especially in the administration. So they were quick to fire Mike Leach, and I think this story has a long way from being done.
There's a fair catch called for, and Horns takes it at the 19-yard line, a 42-yard punt. So the Bulls look pretty good on that first drive of the second half. When we come back here to Toronto, USF with the football for the second time.
Hi, is Denise working?
Yeah, she's in the back. Can I take your order?
I'm just a little bit more comfortable ordering with Denise.
ESPN College Football, the International Bowl, is brought to you by Capital One. What's in your wallet?
You see the CN tower there, the big tower sticking up? 1,810 feet, the world's tallest freestanding structure until 2007. 30 years, that thing is high, just outside of our hotel.
And if you've never gone up in the Needle, and that's a pretty cool thing to do. And on a clear day, you can see a long way.
Give you some perspective, it's 110 meters taller than the Sears Tower in Chicago, which is now known as the Willis Tower. But again, that is very high. And right now the Bulls hope that offense is flying high after that first possession. Daniels comes out winging. What's going through the minds of the Husky defense now after playing so well in the first half?
Well, I still think they have to do a lot of the same. They have to control the line of scrimmage and not give up the big play. We saw last series that Mike Ford went for 31 yards, and then Carlton Mitchell made a bobble and a catch and goes for a big play. They've done a nice job of limiting the big plays, especially from B.J. Daniels. So defensive coordinator Tracy Claeys, he's doing a great job, and he's dialing up a great series for his defense. They just have to do more of the same.
Bulls going with 2 tight ends now, Busby and Andrew Ketchel, like Ford. is the running back behind Daniels. He gets the call. Ford, 30. Up to the 45-yard line. Chris Smith runs about, and Mike Ford, who had 12 touchdowns his freshman year, just picks up 27, so he's had 3 big plays now.
Well, Mike, I know you talked to head coach Jerry Kill about this earlier in the week, about taking proper angles and getting in the right spots and fitting in the defense. That time, it looked like the Huskies were out of positions on the perimeter. They committed inside, and Ford was able to bounce the football outside and create a big play.
Only a junior from Sarasota. 22 career touchdowns, 2 behind Andre Hall for the record at the school. 85 yards rushing now. Ford gets it again. He's up to the 50. He only had 71 carries this year. Mo Blanchard came in with 124, but they've always been kind of running back by committee.
They really have, and it's been due to multiple injuries at that position. You know, one week it could be Moses Blanchard being the main guy, then Mike Ford, a little bit of Lindsey Lamar. You know, so they've had a bunch of injuries, and to Jim Levitt's credit, he's done a nice job of being able to mix in those guys and keep everybody happy.
Bulls on top 6-3. Ford again gets the call. It's the left side as he starts to flirt with a 100-yard rushing game. Picked up 4 on the play. Everybody thought Mike Ford was headed to Florida State, wound up at USF.
I think the Huskies, you know, especially defensively, they're doing what they need to do to stay in this football game. They'd love to make a big stand here on 3rd and short and stop B.J. Daniels in this offense.
Bulls 41% on the year from 3rd down. Daniels, feeling the pressure, leaves the pocket. And he completes it right at the marker. And this one's to A.J. Love. So once again, he uses his feet and then his arm to pick up the first down.
Well, it opens up the passing game for the Bulls, and that's the athleticism of B.J. Daniels. He's able to elude a would-be tackler in the backfield, and he's able to get outside. You have to control containment when you're facing a mobile quarterback, and defensive ends need to go upfield and stay in their lanes, and that time B.J. was able to slip outside for a first down.
And Mo Blanchard's back in the backfield. Blanchard gets the call, and he's going nowhere. Boy, great penetration on that left side of the defensive front there, led by Brandon Bice. Loss of 3 on the play.
Yeah, Brandon Bice has had a nice game, and really you have to talk about the front 4 and the front 7 for this Husky defense. They've done a nice job of, for most part of this football game, especially in the first half, controlling the line of scrimmage and controlling that offensive line for the Bulls.
2nd and 13 at the 46. I'll tell you this, Daniels, you could watch his feet. He could feel the more pressure coming up front again as he got rid of the ball. Well, Thursday, January 7th, ABC delivers #1 against #2 in the City BCS National Championship game. Texas, led by Colt McCoy and the Longhorns. Can they pick up their first championship since 2006 when they beat USC in the Rose Bowl? Or how about Heisman winner Mark Ingram and the Crimson Tide? Will the Tide roll the City BCS National Championship game on ABC Thursday, January 7th at 8 Eastern. Daniels steps to the right, fires downfield, finds his man, touchdown! A.J. Love. 46 yards.
Mike, you talked about the feet of B.J. Daniels. It almost like it kickstarts him when he gets out of the pocket. He's got such a strong arm, and he always keeps his eyes downfield. He's very aware where his receivers are, and that's a great job of picking up A.J. Love for the big play in the touchdown. B.J. Daniels very aware where his receivers were on that play. Did a nice job of finding one for 6.
Schwartz on for the extra point, already with 6 points here this afternoon. And make it 7 right down the middle of the freeway. And so 2 drives now for the Bulls in the second half here from Toronto, and both very productive.
And this is what B.J. Daniels was looking for, a play to get him outside, use his legs and his vision to find a big play receiver, and A.J. Love for a touchdown. The Bulls are rolling.
ESPN The Weekend, February 25th through the 28th. Visit ESPNTheWeekend.com for details.
You know what 2:30 in the afternoon feels like, right? Sleepy? Groggy? Dying for a nap? What do? Run for the coffee? Grab a soda? But how long does that last before you're back for more? Try this instead. Take one 5-hour energy, then see what the rest of your day feels like. Sure won't feel like 2:30 anymore. Or 3:30. Or 4:30. 5-hour energy. Hours of energy now, no 2:30 feeling later.
So many arthritis pain relievers. I just want fewer pills and relief that last all day.
Take 2 extra strength Tylenol every 4 to 6 hours.
Taking 8 pills a day, and if I take it for 10 days, that's 80 pills. Just 2 Aleve can last all day. Perfect.
Choose Aleve and you can be taking 4 times fewer pills than extra strength Tylenol. Just 2 Aleve have the strength to relieve arthritis pain all day.
Whether you use AT&T or Verizon, chances are, at the end of the month, you're going to have some unused minutes laying around. Difference is, AT&T lets you keep the minutes you don't use, while Verizon doesn't. Adios, minutes. Those were perfectly good minutes. Now they're gone.
When you compare, there's no comparison.
Well, they ain't coming back.
AT&T, a better 3G experience.
How can rice production in India affect wheat output in the U.S., the shipping industry in Norway, and the rubber industry in South America? At T. Rowe Price, we understand the connections of a complex global economy. It's just one reason 80% of our mutual funds beat their 10-year Lipper average. T. Rowe Price. Invest with confidence. Request a prospectus with investment objectives, risks, fees, expenses, and more information. Read and consider carefully before investing.
Sometimes it's not easy to find good talent for SportsCenter, which is why we brought in Les to help with recruiting.
And of course, you'll have full access to our state-of-the-art digital center. Best in the nation.
We pride ourselves in getting the best. Sometimes you just have to pull out all the stops.
Born to wear pinstripes, eh, Dad?
Oh, yeah. John Andersons just don't grow on trees. You got to go out and find them.
Can you see yourself sitting here in front of millions of sports fans?
Yes, sir.
Me too.
Well, B.J. Daniels and the Bulls putting 10 points on the board here in the second half, and B.J. saying, hey, that's more like the offense that we're capable of doing.
Well, that's what he's used to. He's used to being able to elude and escape pressure in the pocket, keep his eyes downfield, and make a good decision. And on that drive, he did a nice job of moving the chains and then making the big play once he was under duress.
So the redshirt freshman out of Tallahassee right now picks up the touchdown pass, his 13th on the season. And once again, not to be redundant, as soon as he learns how to play that position, and he's getting better and better, by the time he's a junior, this kid's going to
be dangerous. Absolutely. And he's got a lot of guys on the outside that are going to give him the ability to keep improving.
A.J. Love with the touchdown reception. That's his 3rd this year. And again, we talked about it earlier in the broadcast. He's averaging 19 yards a catch. Mitchell averaging about 18 yards a catch. So many big play receivers. Schwartz with the kick to the 10. It's Tommy Davis again. Davis, he's come close a couple of times, tripped up and spins down to the 35, a 25-yard return. As we go back and take another look at it, JC.
Well, A.J. Love's going to be the receiver at the top of the screen, and he's going to run a post pattern here, and he's going to run a wheel route pattern to complement it on the outside. So you're going to get the safeties involved, and they're not sure where to go to. A.J. Love presses it, but then once he gets even right here, he's leaving because he's even with the deep pressure. He's going to adjust to the football and get back to the outside and do a great job of picking it up off of B.J. Daniels, who kept his eyes downfield the entire time and put enough air under that football to make a touchdown catch. That was a nice job by quarterback and receiver.
Well, a 10-point lead for the Bulls. Harnish trying to stay away from those big defensive ends. This one falls incomplete. Intended receiver was Landon Cox, and Quentin Washington on the coverage for the Bulls. David Amber talking with Jim Levitt down on the field yesterday. I heard him say, what do you like the most about these Huskies? And he said, you know what? They get it. This team gets it. They bought into what the coach is selling.
Yeah, I think you're right. You hit it right on the head, Mike, because that's the way Jerry Kill is. He believes in running and tackling and being tough up front, and that's what they do. And I think these coaches really emulate each other.
4 receivers now on the field for the Huskies. 5 minutes to go, quarter number 3. Here comes the rush. Nice job of dumping it off to Spann, and Spann's up over the 45, close to the 50-yard line. Jacqueline Williams making the stop after a 14-yard gain.
Mike, that's a play that we were talking about during our halftime break. When you're getting a lot of pressure up front from either the Huskies or the Bulls defensive 7, you have to throw a screen in there. You have to invite them into the offensive backfield and make the easiest throw and dump it over the defender's head. And that's exactly what happened on that play. And that was a nice call upstairs by offensive coordinator Mike Linegrove.
Well executed as John Legist was coming strong from the strong safety spot. Spann again, loses the handle, loose football. Here comes Jerome Murphy. Murphy, he loses the football. Who has it? Looks like the Huskies get it back, and number 28, Spann, comes up with the football. That's almost as crazy as that Syracuse game we did with USF earlier this year.
A lot of crazy things happen when that ball hits the turf, and that time Spann was the one that put it there, so he was the one responsible to get it back, and he did a nice job of never giving up on the play. It's a nice cut. He's trying to adjust the football, doing the right thing, getting it on the outside away from the pressure in the defense, but then it fumbles and it bounces right to Jerome Murphy, who absolutely coughs the football right back up to the Huskies on offense. So they're going to get a 1st and 10 around the 36-yard line, and no one's happier than the guy wearing number 28.
No one's more unhappy as number 3, Murphy, thinking, how can I let that happen? He was thinking, I'll pick it up and go for 6 maybe, but
everybody on defense that gets a fumble thinks they're a running back right away. There's a reason why you're at corner.
Well, Chad Spann, he's the running back as he gets closer and closer, just a couple of yards away now from 1,000. Harnish, open man over the middle, overshoots him. Murphy gets it back. It's a pick. And Jerome Murphy's up over the 45, dropped at the 48-yard line by Perez Ashford. And Jerome Murphy just picked up his 4th interception, returns it 23 yards.
Boy, and that one's on the quarterback, Chandler Harnish. He had his wide receiver wide open. All he had to do was lead him more in the middle of the field. This ball carried up and over the would-be wide receiver. There's nobody in center field, so if Chandler can throw the football out in front and a little bit shorter, he had his receiver Martell Moore. But the ball's on the upfield shoulder, and it's just overthrown by a couple of yards. And Jerome Murphy, really playing center field, takes the catch and secures the football for a big turnover.
And at halftime, I was talking about how well Northern Illinois' defense had played. As Ford gets the call, nice hole left side. He's tripped up shy of the 40-yard line, but the USF fans probably sitting down in Tampa think, what about our defense? We're not chopped liver. We played well. Just the offense wasn't going, and now both sides of the line of scrimmage getting it done.
Well, they're starting to click, and that turnover really a big play in this game with the score 13-3, and now they get instant field position. They've got Mike Ford running it on the ground, and big play potential with B.J. Daniel at the quarterback spot.
See Murphy there playing in his 52nd game. That's #1 all time for the Bulls of South Florida. Ford over 100 now, 9 carries, 104 yards, pretty healthy average. Penalty flags drop. Ford gets the call again inside the 40, but we'll await the call.
And Mike, I think they had 2 players moving at the same time, and they never reset, so the Bulls a little confused on that first down play.
Adrian Hill, the referee here out of the Big 12, will await the call.
Illegal shift, offense, 2 men moving, did not reset prior to the snap. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Mike Ford with 1 carry in the first half, and now he's got it rolling here in the second.
He really does have it rolling. Mike Ford has been the sledgehammer coming out after halftime. He's been the big play guy for the Bulls on offense. He's tough running inside the tackles, but he's shown that 2nd and 3rd effort to get into the secondary and really provide the Bulls with a spark they were lacking in the first half. That's a good decision by head coach Jim Leavitt. He talked about it going to halftime and using Ford, and he has effectively.
Ford gets the call, another hole, and he's running hard, running downhill inside the 40, dropped at about the 35 by Tracy Wilson, the redshirt sophomore from Harvey, Illinois. 10 more for Ford. So he's up to about $114 in the game.
And Mike, let's credit the big guys up front. They didn't have the best first half. The South Florida offensive line is really coming back into this football game and creating some holes for Mike Ford. 10 rushes, 115 yards on the afternoon, so he's done a nice job coming out from halftime. And you mentioned only 1 carry in the first half.
JC, I would have gave $5 to be in that locker room to listen to what was said. by the South Florida coaches. There's Ford again, out of Sarasota. Recently lost his father, and he says he still talks to his dad a lot. He says, I know that sounds crazy, but I do. He says he talks to his dad. He says he still gets advice from his dad. Very close to his father. Through a tough time. Well, this Bull team, and you think of Keely Dorsey, a former player who died after a workout. Ford loses his. Bo Blanchard lost a cousin who played at Central Florida, so this football team's been through a lot. Bulls 4 of 10 on third downs so far this afternoon. There's a quick hitter. Down to the 20, Mitchell. And Mitchell down near the 15-yard line before he goes out of bounds. A gain of 20 more.
Nice recognition by B.J. Daniels. He had his receiver, Jesse Hester, going in motion away from the single receiver. He knew he had man coverage to the short side. The quickest way to get it to your playmaker, he catches it out of shotgun and just delivers a strike outside. Most times, Carlton Mitchell's going to win a man-to-man matchup, and that's what you get when you get inside the plus territory, inside the 15, inside the 20, 25-yard line. A lot of man coverage. Today on the afternoon, Mitchell, 5 receptions for 88 yards.
That gives him 103 for his career. Ford. I don't think I've seen Ford run like this since his freshman year when he had 12 touchdowns.
You're right. He's running with some heart and authority, and he's got his pad level down low, and he's getting some creases inside the tackles to really pick up those legs and run tough, and he's doing a nice job of finding those holes. And the one thing you like, Mike, there's no hesitation. He's seeing a hole, and he's hitting it hard.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. There's something different about the way he's running, and that offensive line opening up some nice holes. First 5 games of the year, the offensive line was intact, then the injury started rolling in. There's Ford again, little stutter step, and he waits for it to open up inside the 10 down to about the 11 or 12-yard line. So number 26, it's Corey Hansen in on the stop, and that's going to be the final play of the third quarter. So we have 45 minutes into the books in the second half. A little different now, John.
Yeah, a little bit more momentum going to the Bulls on offense. They've done a nice job defensively the whole game, but B.J. Daniels and Mike Ford and big plays by Carlton Mitchell.
So B.J. Daniels and the Bulls are putting 10 points on the board after a 3-3 tie. It's Bulls 13-3 over Northern Illinois.
National Championship Game, Texas, Alabama, January 7th on ABC. Check it.
Good shot of the CN Tower in downtown Toronto, Canada. Toronto, the economic capital of this country. 13-3 after 3 quarters. After a 3-3 tie in the first half, the Bulls of South Florida coming in averaging 26 points a game, and now the engine's roaring, and they're threatening again just outside the 5-yard line.
Well, they're trying to knock on the door again, Mike. In this second half, Jerry Kill wanted to come out and try to do much of the same, and they've done that, but it's just the Bulls that have picked it up a little bit more, and Jim Leavitt going to Mike Ford has been the answer for this offense.
Jim Leavitt closing last season with a big bowl victory in St. Petersburg over Memphis, where they put 45 points on the board. Now B.J. Daniels looking for their second touchdown. Timeout is called by the Bulls. No, the Huskies of Northern Illinois. Wait, 2. So the Bulls, after -3 yards rushing in the first half, now they're really rolling with number 4, Mike Ford.
They did a nice job of getting that offensive line going, and the change to Mike Ford has been the answer. The tough runner inside. He's got a big frame to him at 6'3", 221 pounds, and he does a nice job of providing that offense, and the defense has really answered as well. McClain has done a nice job pressuring the quarterback, and then the big touchdown to A.J. Love, finding the football inside the 5-yard line. B.J. Daniels keeping that head and eyes on a swivel, finding his big play receiver on the outside. But Mike Ford has been the answer. He came into the game 71 attempts for 243 yards. Today, he's got 13 attempts for 122 yards. So he's done a nice job and a huge average, almost 10 yards per carry.
99 yards rushing in the third quarter for the Bulls. Daniels, play action, looking, plenty of time, firing, touchdown! There's that arm we talked about earlier. A.J. Love, that's his second touchdown reception.
Good patience shown by the young quarterback, B.J. Daniels. He had 2 receivers to the short side, and Daniels waited for his playmaker coming from the wide side of the field, A.J. Love. Motion man in the flat, tight end of the corner, and Love, as soon as he passed the linebacker, B.J. Daniels threw a strike into him. Looking left the whole way, and then watch him step in and rip this throw down the middle to A.J. Love.
That was a bullet.
That was a rocket.
Tight spiral. Schwartz on for one more. He's been accurate. Right down the middle, and with 14:55 to go in the ball game now, the Bulls have opened up a 20-3 lead. So B.J. Daniels is 1 rushing touchdown shy of tying Matt Grothy's single-season record, but he says, hey, I'm going to do it with my arm.
Yeah, he had a couple different windows to choose from. He tried to look short side, and B.J. Daniels getting some help from up above on that one. A good job of staying patient in the pocket, and he did a great job, and he's probably getting coached on the sidelines by a pretty good quarterback in his own right. And Matt Grothy talking to the receiver, A.J. Love, about staying patient maybe on the route, keeping alive, because Daniels took a while to get to him.
That's a great point you bring up, too. You have Grothy on the sidelines. Mike Canales was with Phillip Rivers at NC State during his days. And then you have Marquell Blackwood. He's some people feel he's the best quarterback ever to play at USF. He's on the staff as well this year.
Yeah, he gets a lot of coaching from a lot of different guys, and it's only going to get you better down the road. You have a lot of guys that have played the game, a lot of guys that have played for South Florida. You mentioned Blackwell, and a lot of guys doing a good job of preparing B.J. Daniels for the next step.
And Mike Canales saying that B.J. Daniels spending more and more time in the film room. A lot of times after 11 p.m. you'll find him in there looking at some tape. 7 plays, 52 yards, and 349. Schwartz ready to kick. And Tommy Davis again. Davis. He runs hard over the 30, and he's not going to make it to the 35. Hit hard as we head back to the studios. So let's check in with Dari Noka.
All right, guys, Huskies in your game not looking good. Not the case for the Connecticut Huskies. PapaJohns.com all over on ESPN. Watch the catch by Kashif Moore. One-handed grab on the pass from Zach Frazier. UConn leading South Carolina 7-0 in the first, guys.
Thanks, Dari. UConn, of course, beating Buffalo in this game last year. It was 2 years ago where Ball State and Rutgers really piled up a lot of yardage. Something that the Huskies in Northern Illinois would like to do now in the final quarter. Harnish looking for that tight end around again, and that would have been his third catch for Reed Cunningham. He came in with 3 all season.
Well, now Chandler Harnish is in a position that his offensive coordinator, Matt Limegrover, didn't want to be in. You're down 20-3 into the fourth quarter. You're going to have to throw the football a little bit more. I know there's plenty of time left with the start of the fourth quarter just a couple seconds ago, but you're going to have to throw the football more effectively, and that's going to really open up the passing lanes for those big guys on the outside, George Selvey and Jason Pierre-Paul.
DeMarcus Grady, the backup quarterback, a better runner, checking in now out of the shotgun. And he takes off from the get-go. Number 3. Looks like B.J. Daniels running around out there. He's a 6'1", 200-pound redshirt sophomore from Grand Rapids, Michigan. David Bedford making the stop. Bedford getting the start the last 2 games. Jason Pierre-Paul's been banged up. A gain of 7.
You mentioned, Mike, you mentioned Grady being more of a runner, 330 yards on the season and 1 touchdown. He is capable of throwing the football. He has 280 yards and close to 60% completion on the season, but he's more of a runner, more of a quicker runner, I guess, on the outside, on the perimeter.
There's a reverse end around. And straight out of bounds, Nathan Palmer, the redshirt sophomore from Elkhart, Indiana. And you look at Chandler Harnish, the 213-pound redshirt sophomore. Those are the numbers by half in the first half, 101 yards. Struggling somewhat in that third quarter, just 2 of 8 for 21.
Yeah, the entire offense really struggled. He did a good job in the first half, controlling the tempo and making good decisions from the pocket. But in the second half, he didn't have a running game to really rely on, and it put added pressure on that offensive front to provide blocking. It just didn't happen for him.
Mike Salerno on the punts, and the Bulls, who have definitely grabbed Big Mo here in the second half, will have the football again. And once again, Salerno does a nice job of keeping it away from those return men for USF. And this one's going to roll dead inside the 20-yard line, and number 7 strapping it up and taking the field once again for USF. We're going to take a timeout. 13:25 to go. The Bulls taking the field again with the lead, 20-3.
I tried the other energy drinks, and what made me switch was the size of the drinks kept getting bigger and bigger. I just wanted energy. I didn't want to get bloated. The 2 ounces of 5-hour energy really does make a difference. With the other energy drinks, it was kind of a sugar high. I felt on edge, and that's not what I'm looking for before I go on a mountain bike ride or a run or a swim, and I never felt that with 5-hour energy. It gave me a boost, and the boost lasted, and I never crashed. It gives you that sense of alertness. Nothing where
Well, B.J. Daniels has caught fire here in the second half. First trip outside the U.S. borders for about 80% of this USF team. And on that note, let's check in with David Amber downstairs. David?
Yeah, guys, on December 4th, South Florida accepted their invitation to the International Bowl. Only problem, only 15 of their players had a passport. And, of course, you need a passport to cross the border from the U.S. to Canada. So they had to get in touch with the county clerk in Florida, and they had to make all sorts of decisions on what they're going to do. They expedited 215 passports for players, coaches, cheerleaders, the band, school administrators. The school picked up the tab, $300 a pop. That's a cool $64,000 and change to make sure they were set up here in Toronto. At least they're winning, so they could feel good about that purchase.
Wow. Scrambling to get to the bowl game, huh? Well, our producer, John Kettering, did the same thing. He had to scramble. But USF didn't pick up his tab. At least I don't think they did anyway.
Yeah, AD Doug Woolard hasn't gotten the bill for that one yet.
20-3. B.J. Daniels, a redshirt freshman. Jim Levitt, his 13th season now, the only coach that this school has known. And they've come a long way from day one.
Yeah, you have to compliment him. You know, the toughness that he shows and the just his overall appearance when he comes out on the field. It looks like he's ready to play the football game. So as a player, you have to be ready. And you always really, you know, try to copy your either position coach or your head coach. And it really, you find the toughness in Jim Levitt. You want to come out and play the way he coaches you to play.
Yesterday was only a walkthrough, and I started breaking a sweat watching him run around.
Yeah, he's intense, and it's a good thing because it really keeps the players on edge. It really keeps them at their highest level.
13:25 to go. There's Mike Ford. Will be having a career game for him. Tyrone Clark, the true freshman linebacker, making the stop after a gain of 3.
can't say enough about this Husky defense, what they tried to do and what they were able to do in the first half. They've done a nice job of controlling the line of scrimmage. I just think that Mike Ford, the change to Mike Ford, really wore down this Husky defense.
Well, Jim Levitt saw that coming, I think, as he told David Amber as we headed for the locker room. Ford now 14 for 125 in the game. There he is again. Ford breaks free over the 35-40, dropped at the 45-yard line, and he carries 3 or 4 players on his way to picking up 23 more. Well, it looks like Adrian Peterson right now.
It's amazing that just an insertion of one player on this team can make such a big difference and really ignite your offense. Mike Ford doing a great job of protecting the football. 15 attempts on the afternoon for 148 yards. And this guy's doing some tough running inside the tackles, but when he gets to the second level, he's showing a little bit of a burst. A great job by Mike Ford.
Yesterday in the meeting, David Amber bringing up Ray Rice and Donald Brown having big rushing games, and we thought, well, if anyone, it's going to be B.J. Daniels.
Yeah.
But right now, 148 yards rushing for Mike Ford. And they're going to ride him. He gets the call again up over the 45, drops just shy of the 47. He's 6'2", he's 225 pounds, and he's coming back again next year.
And he's probably getting a little bit worn down. He hasn't had that much action this season. So, you know, look for Mo Blanchard to maybe give him a spell here sooner or later. But big number 4 is carrying the load right now.
Third most right now in International Bowl history. Of course, Ray Rice and Donald Brown, as I mentioned. Rice from Rutgers, Donald Brown of UConn. 2 huge rushing games in this bowl game the last 2 years. Wow, plenty of time. Daniels. And he saw the marker to be shy of the first down, bring up a 3rd down, but wow, he had a lot of time to find a receiver, but good coverage by Northern Illinois.
Yeah, it was good job by the secondary of the Huskies because there was a little stutter and go move on the outside. They wanted to hit a big play down the field, but a good decision by B.J. Daniels. He didn't force the football down the field and try to make something happen that wasn't there. Come back on 3rd down, see what happens, but a nice decision because of the coverage of the Husky secondary.
3rd and 2 at the 49-yard line. 5 receivers in for the Bulls. Daniels looks right and nowhere to go. He's still on his feet. This is unbelievable. Finally dropped inside the 40-yard line. He was stopped about 3 times. Earlier this year during that Thursday night game, Chris Fowler mentioned Fran Tarkenton, which meant a lot to me. He said, I'm not sure if I know who that is. Maybe my dad does.
Well, I tell you what, B.J. Daniels got to get the S off of his chest because he came out of that pile. There was no way he was going to gain 13 yards on that play. He was well behind the line of scrimmage and makes a terrific play, eludes multiple tackles. I would probably call time. If I had to do that, I'd have to call timeout. I wouldn't be able to make the next play.
Picks up 13 and ran for about 98. Probably could have ran from here to Buffalo. Picks up the 1st down. Ball on the 36-yard line. Just gets the play off. Mike Ford gets back to the line of scrimmage. Brian Lawson makes the stop. Capital One Bowl Week continues tonight on ESPN with 2 games. 5:30 Eastern, Arkansas, East Carolina, the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. 9 Eastern, it's Michigan State, Texas Tech, and the Valero Alamo Bowl. Capital One Bowl Week on ESPN and ESPN360.com coming up tonight. How about that Arkansas game? Ryan Mallett, he had an 87% game against, I think, Eastern Michigan, 43% against LSU. So, which Ryan Mallett shows up, that'll be a key in that game, I would think.
It sure will be because they're going to throw the football to be successful.
Out of the shotgun, and once again Jake Kaufman was one of the great stories on this Northern Illinois team. 25 years of age, already has 2 tours of duty in Iraq, and trust me, this young man is one tough cookie. He sees things a lot differently, he said, and appreciates life so much more after spending 2 tours in Iraq.
Well, let's hope he's okay, because he does a great job of keeping his leverage on B.J. Daniels, not allowing B.J. Daniels to get outside, and a sure tackler in the backfield. This is the old man at 25 years old, and he's running off the football field or jogging off the football field. It's good to see him back on his feet, because he'll give you everything he has on every snap.
Before every game, he writes "for the fallen" on his wristbands. He says he used to get tired, doesn't get tired anymore. After spending 2 tours in Iraq, he says, what's being tired? It's nothing. Came back and went to Camp Pendleton and started playing some football. Had 15 sacks one year, thinking, geez, maybe I could play some college football. And he still has another year remaining. He's not sure if he's going to come back next year, but
his teammates named him this year the Husky defensive MVP of the team, and well-deserved with the numbers he put up this year.
Learned a lot playing behind Larry English, who was the 16th overall pick of the San Diego Chargers out of Northern Illinois in the most recent draft. Daniels, far side, and it's Mitchell again with the catch at about the 45-yard line. How difficult is it to make that throw? I mean, the scouts always look at arm strength. That's a long throw.
It's a long throw, and B.J. Daniels has the ability and the arm strength to make every throw. And, you know, going to the next level, it'll be that much tougher because guys are moving faster, and he has a little time to worry about that. But he's got plenty of arm strength, because we've seen him make a couple throws this season that have been unbelievable.
I think one against Louisville was 65 yards on the money, flat-footed, I think. With the high punt, and it hits inside the 10 and goes into the end zone. So the Huskies will have it at the 20-yard line when we come back to Toronto. The old stomping grounds of John Congemi with the Toronto Argonauts. And when we come back, we're going to take a look at JC.
Wow,
doing his thing up here in the CFL. Final 8 minutes coming up.
Does your phone surf the web? Does your phone surf the web with the speed and power of a pro surfer at Pipeline? Does it bring you the web in all its glory, in all its intended pixels, allowing you to reach the farthest expanses of its universe, deepest depths of its oceans, without getting as much as a grain of sand in your shorts? Droid does. Wave-shredding web speed. In a world of doesn't, Droid does.
Right now, buy a Droid and get a Droid Eris free.
It's happening. Across the country, across our lineup, Nissan's A to Z year-end sales event, celebrating award-winning design, Automobile of the Year, Best Buys, and quality from A to Z. Now get $500 additional bonus cash on Altima and Maxima, plus $199 a month on the new Altima, or 0% financing on Maxima. Event ends January 4th.
Ted. CFL for the Toronto Argonauts, and my partner here, John Congemi. Actually, your rookie year, you played.
Yeah, in '87, and that '91, that was the one that gets you. I was traded to Ottawa that year, and I was a big part of being with my teammates for '87, '88, '89, and '90, and I missed out on that Grey Cup in '91, but had a great time looking at a lot of my former teammates and friends that are hanging up in the rafters here. There's one, Paul Mazzotti, a great Canadian wide receiver, and Daryl Smith laying out for me there at home in the former Sky Dome in the Rogers Center. And a lot of years since that picture, I can tell you that. That's funny.
That's pretty cool. You and Dan Marino are pretty tight. Of course, you replaced Marino at Pittsburgh. He goes to the Super Bowl as a rookie. You go to the Grey Cup as a rookie.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Actually, Bob Obilovich, who was my coach that year, was in the stadium. Now he's the player personnel director, I believe, for the Hamilton Tiger Cats down the road, who are the Argos' main rival in the Canadian Football League. So it's a lot of memories coming back here today.
And you still spend a lot of time here in Toronto, huh?
Yeah, family here in Nobleton, Ontario. My wife, Carmela, from there, so spend a lot of time up here.
Well, the direct snap, it's a fumble in the backfield now with 8 minutes to go. The Huskies need some instant offense, and they need it fast. Again, the the Huskies averaging about 31 points a game. How was the adjustment going from Pittsburgh to playing on a bigger field in the CFL?
Well, that's the main thing. In being from the broadcast booth here and looking at the American-sized field in this stadium, it looks minute, to be honest with you. I'm looking at the end zones, and they're another 10 or 15 or 20 yards longer, and the field 65 yards wide. And it was a big adjustment for a quarterback, and it takes a little bit of time talking about that 12th man.
Only 3 downs. I would think that would be an adjustment here over the middle, and it's incomplete. Almost picked off and almost caught. And intended receiver was Perez Ashford. Let's go back and check in with David Amber.
All right, guys, you know what? Matt Grothe has talked to me about possibly following in John's footsteps and coming up here to play in the CFL. He said he's friends with Doug Flutie. He spoke to Doug Flutie, and Flutie said, look, your skill set complements the CFL game. You can make big plays with your legs. They love that in this league. And I asked Matt, and he said, you know what? That'd be a great opportunity for me. He's going to look into it.
Well, he definitely, David, has the quickness of a Doug Flutie. Doug, when you were on the field with Doug, the one thing that you really underrated was his quickness and his ability to escape, and that really complements Matt Grothe's abilities up here, because he has that ability to escape.
Harnish back in at quarterback, and they set up the screen to Span. Picks up 8 on the play, and Sam Barrington, who Jim Levick says is the best true freshman linebacker in the school history. Barrington out of Jacksonville, Florida. Bright future ahead of him. They had a lot of freshmen they redshirted this year as well.
A lot of guys, you know, talking with Randy Edsel from UConn during our days in games that we've played this year, they redshirted a lot of people, and Jim Levitt, a lot like the UConn program, trying to redshirt a lot of guys and keep them stockpiled for the future. And I think the future is bright for the Bulls.
Levitt, of course, playing his college ball at Kansas. Jerry Kill from Northern Illinois, the head coach, is from Kansas. A lot of mutual respect. Jerry Kill. Regardless of what happens here today, they are guaranteed a winning season in his second year. They were 6-6 last year in the regular season, lost their bowl game, the Independence Bowl, they dropped to 6-7. And if they lose this game, they will finish 7-6. Timeout on the field, so we're going to step away and use up one of our timeouts. 20-3, Jerry Kill's Huskies down.
ESPN The Weekend, February 25th through the 28th. Visit ESPNTheWeekend.com for details.
ESPN College Football, the International Bowl, is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Hours of energy now, no crash later. For more information, visit 5hourenergy.com. And Verizon Wireless, America's largest 3G network.
There's a tour through Little Italy here in Toronto, Canada. And the numbers favoring the Bulls of South Florida after a 3-3 tie at halftime. It's 20-3. USF on top. Now the Huskies, they've had 60 plays of 25 yards or longer this year. 7 of 50 plus by 6 different players. They need some offense.
Yeah, they need it right now.
Harnish out of the shotgun, dropped the ball. The Bulls. A lot of white jerseys. It looks like it should be or could be their football. No call yet. Yes. USF comes up with the fumble recovery. Out of the shotgun. It would look like a low snap down by his ankles, but he couldn't find the handle.
Couldn't find the handle. Was Harnish at quarterback on a 4th and very short. The game really rests on that play, because if they were going to get back into it, or the Huskies, they were going to have to convert, but they fumble inside the 25-yard line, and now the Bulls have instant field position at the 24.
Something Jerry Kill did not like to see here at this juncture. 6.5 minutes to go now. The Bulls with a big bull in the backfield. Mike Ford having a career day for the junior from Sarasota. Here he is again. Nobody around. 10. 23 rushing touchdowns now. That's one shy of the school record set by Andre Hall.
Hugs all around for the South Florida Bulls, and credit this offensive line. Everybody walling, everybody down on the outside, and Mike Ford is able to get to the outside and untouched goes into the end zone. Just a terrific job by the offensive line, getting everybody in a red shirt inside the hashes and inside the numbers, and Mike Ford, no one around. 18 for 173 yards and a touchdown. It's been Mike Ford's second half.
Eric Schwartz. Not quite as straight. They all count if they go through the uprights. And Schwartz adds on one more. All right, JC, Mike Ford having a career game.
Just an unbelievable move by Jim Levitt, inserting his running back, his junior at 6'2", 225, picking him up and putting him down for the South Florida Bulls.
It's 42schoolconnection.com. That's 42schoolconnection.com.
A lot of smiles now down on the sidelines for the Bulls of the University of South Florida. 27-3. See number 4 there, Mike Ford. He's having a great time talking to his teammates. You look at the rushers, Ray Rice, Donald Brown, and I don't know, what do you think? There's 6:25 to go.
He's got some time left, and he's really done all that work in 2 quarters. He didn't really play in the first half, only 1 rushing attempt in the first half, but Mike Ford has done an unbelievable job, and he's probably introducing himself to his new teammates. He normally wears number 26, but he's wearing number 4 today, and he's a new man with number 4 on his back.
9.6 yards a carry. That is a Bull record. Now, he might not get the 280 that Ray Rice or the 264 that Donald Brown had, but 9.6 yards a carry. Schwartz with the kick. Ricky Kreider this time gets his first return. He's up over the 20 to about the 22. 13-yard return as we head back to the studio. Here's Dari Noko.
All right, Mike, thank you much. Just a reminder, over on ESPN, you get the PapaJohns.com Bowl. Connecticut leading South Carolina 13-0. Huskies just tacked on their second field goal of the day. They're approaching midway through the second quarter. Don't forget, coming up next right here on ESPN2, though, a little college hoop for you. Scotty Reynolds and Villanova getting set for a Big East test in Milwaukee against Marquette. That game coming up after we're done in Toronto, guys.
Dari talking about Dan Lefevre of Central Michigan in that Troy game. Span over the 25-yard line.
And the Huskies need to get up on the line of scrimmage and run some plays with 6:09 and 8 and counting to the end of this football game. They're going to have to pick up the tempo on offense and try to get a quick score here with the lead at 27-3. They need to run some more offensive plays with more efficiency.
Well, the Huskies had a string of 9 straight seasons with a 1,000-yard rusher snapped last year, but with that last carry, Span is right at 1,000 yards. He's over 1,000. And he's off to the races. Span inside the 35-yard line. Finally dropped down by Kayvon Webster. 37 yards, JC, and the Huskies trying to put some more points on the board in the last 5.5 minutes.
And Mike, we thought we'd see more of this from Chad Span. He gets into the second level and shows us his speed and burst. Just a nice job off right tackle. Good blocking at the point of attack, but just a small hole, and he's able to slip through and do a great job of using his speed and his vision in the secondary of the Bulls.
Third first down of the half for the Huskies now. There's Span again. You know, Johnny had 1,935 yards, 22 rushing touchdowns as a senior. No offers from the FBS school. Started hand-delivering tapes, knocking on doors. Then he heard about Northern Illinois, the likes of Michael Turner, Garrett Wolf, Thomas Hammock, LaShawn Johnson, all good backs, all small in stature. He said, you know what, this is the place I want to go.
Well, he's a power back, and I know his stature is small at 5'9", 197, but he usually breaks the first contact at the line of scrimmage and able to get into the secondary, into that second level. He's done a nice job of that throughout his career, and he did it on a couple plays ago.
Span out of the ball game now, and Justin Anderson gets the call. Anderson has some running room, puts his head down inside the 20-yard line, still on his feet. Dropped at about the 17 finally. Well, Justin Anderson only had 21 carries, but he's a 1,700-yard rusher as well in his career. A gain of 14 that time.
Justin a little bit bigger back than Chad Span. Justin goes at 6', 234. He's a senior, as you said. He has 21 attempts coming into the season, and he hit that hole with authority.
He carried it 247 times 2 years ago in 2007. Snap was fumbled. Run out of bounds. But DeMarcus Grady doing a nice job of just making sure he found the handle. You'd hate to see this drive bogged down with a fumble.
Yeah, that could have been worse than the loss that was incurred on that play. A bobbled snap out of the shotgun, and the last thing you want to do is put the ball on the ground right now with the clock running, under 4 minutes to go in this game.
You know, John, I mentioned Turner and Garrett Wolf, both of those guys in the National Football League. LaShawn Johnson back in 1993 led the nation in rushing, went on to the NFL. And so this Northern Illinois football program, they've had their share of guys who can carry the football. Anderson stays in the game after Spann reached 1,000 yards. It's the read option, little pitch outside, and a little spin move by Nathan Palmer. Well, Thursday, January 7th, ABC delivers #1 against #2 in the city BCS National Championship game. Texas led by Colt McCoy. Of course, they won the championship back in 2006 playing in Pasadena. Heisman Trophy winner Mark Ingram, can he lead the Crimson Tide to the promised land? The city BCS National Championship game, that's on ABC Thursday, January 7th, 8 Eastern. You know, the Heisman Trophy winners, they haven't a lot of success.
No, they haven't fared well.
McCoy and Ingram, and getting back to the Heisman, I think Matt Leinart in 04 was the only Heisman Trophy winner to win it.
To win that game, and that was, I believe that was against Oklahoma.
Yeah, you're right. So we'll see if Mark Ingram can snap that. Grady still on his feet. See a lot of B.J. Daniels the way he plays.
Yeah, good feet, and he needs those feet because the Bulls on defense are starting to pin their ears back and come after the young quarterback, the sophomore.
Well, it's a 4th and 15 now. Penalty flag was dropped at about the 35-yard line.
Intentional grounding, offense #3. There was no receiver in the area, and the ball did not cross the line of scrimmage. The ball will be returned to the spot of the foul with loss of down, 4th down.
Now, you got to call him the way you see him, but that's a tough one at this juncture.
That's a tough one at this juncture. Yeah, 2:49 left to go for head coach Kill and his young quarterback Grady on the sidelines now. Tried to do a good job of getting outside of the tackle box and throwing the football around a red jersey, but was it the pressure? He was under duress on that play.
Mike Salerno lining up for a 52-yard kick. And he pushes it off to the right. So the 5th-year senior came in 18 of 23, 8 straight field goals, 10 of the last 11. But now Jerry Kill tells his guys, let's go. As both coaches start building for 2010. Let's take a look at the Capital One MVP, the player of the game, #4.
He's done it all for the Bulls in the second half. Just 1 carry before halftime, but he's done an excellent job of making big plays in this offense. They weren't able to get on track early in the first half, but the second half it's been all #4, 18 carries for 173 yards and 1 touchdown when he went in untouched. Just a terrific job of discipline by Mike Ford, hitting the holes properly with authority and protecting the football. He's the Capital One player of the game.
And that 1 rushing touchdown gives him 23 in his career. That ties Matt Grothe for the #2 spot. Andre Hall has 24. Evan Landy, the backup quarterback, the southpaw/hockey player, future receiver, getting some time at quarterback for Mike Canales, the offensive coordinator. Landy's a 6'3", 214-pound redshirt freshman out of Coral Springs.
Great size. We watched him warming up yesterday in the walkthrough, and you know, he wasn't sure if he was going to play quarterback or receiver today. Played a little bit of both now that he gets in late in the 4th quarter at the quarterback spot, but it gives you that luxury with B.J. Daniels on the sidelines now. Had a nice second half. Did a good job today controlling the turnovers. He didn't turn it over. He didn't really throw it up for grabs too much, and he did a good job in making decisions.
Super second half for B.J. Daniels. And this guy not too shabby in the second half. Ford off to the races again. Mike Ford. A little stutter step there. He knew that they had the angle. But he's going to reach 200.
Yeah, with that 32-yard run. Just a great job of getting to the outside again. and really untouched. The offensive line, we have to compliment this offensive line. They did a great job in the second half because there's a lot of running room that wasn't there in the first half. You know, I thought the Huskies did a good job of their front four and front seven containing the running game of B.J. Daniels and Mo Blanchard in that backfield, but Mike Ford has found the lanes and found the open space today in Rogers Center to really turn this game around.
Over 200. You talked about that offensive line, young offensive line as well. After this play, we'll take a look at some of their classes. Lindsey Lamar gets the call. You've got Jamar Bass as a junior. Jeremiah Warner is a sophomore. Samson Jennis is a junior. Chaz Hine, a sophomore, and Mark Hopping, a redshirt freshman. So all those guys will be back next year.
Yeah, and Mike Ford came into this game with 243 yards rushing. Today alone, 207 yards and a touchdown on 20 carries. So he really carried the load for the Bulls, not only in the first half when they were struggling. He found a way to get into the football game, and a nice decision by Jim Leavitt, their head coach, of inserting him in the third quarter and making the running game go with Ford.
The season finale against UConn, he had 74 yards, but not 200 plus. As you mentioned, 207. Lamar gets the carry again. Devon Butler, the true freshman, makes the tackle for Northern Illinois. Young man has to feel pretty doggone good about himself. If I'm a running back in the Big East, I think I want to play in this bowl game because you got Rice.
You're going to go for 200 plus. It's a given.
And as I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, David Amber talking in the meeting last night, which running back, and we just didn't see it happen.
David called it last night. That's right.
Said, maybe B.J. Daniels if anybody goes off. But Mike Ford, he's the guy. He's the man of the hour. Final 25 seconds for Evan Landy and the Bulls. This should be the final play as Lindsey Lamar gets his third straight carry. And Jim Leavitt finished strong with 45 points in the bowl game last year. And it's going to be another 8-5 season for Leavitt and the Bulls as they start building out for 2010. And once again, you look at the last 3 years, 5-0 starts, rough finishes, but it's always nice to win that bowl game.
Well, he said that's clearly in the rearview mirror. He wants to go out, and they wanted to win this game to build for next year. And that's exactly what the Bulls came out and did with a nice second half effort to get the lead and get some momentum going into next season.
So Jim Leavitt watches A.J. Love pull in 2 touchdown receptions, but the big story, Mike Ford, the junior from Sarasota, with 207 yards rushing on 20 carries. And Jim Leavitt gets a bat.
That'll get you to do a sprint. He does that anyway. He's great.
So the Huskies of Northern Illinois, they'll finish at 7-6, but a lot of young players on this football team for Jerry Kill. And the Bulls, a lot of young players as well.
Yeah, on both sides. Both sides, Mike. And Jerry Kill, to his credit, his team came out and they played exactly the way they were supposed to play in that first half, to try to stay close, keep it a 3-3 game, and they did exactly what they needed to do to stay close.
27-3, 200 plus yards rushing. We're going downstairs now with David Amber standing by with the MVP, Mike Ford. David?
All right, Mike Ford, congratulations. Explain to us how you changed the tempo of this game in the second half.
Yes, sir. We went to the pass. Pass was open for a little bit. You know, coaches came back and they said halftime we was going to run the ball. So whichever back was going to go in, we was going to be ready. So rather me, Mo, Lindsey, Lamar, Andre Murray, anyone else, we was ready. So I guess it was my turn.
We're taking a look at some of your best highlights from the game. How were you able to split the seam, break it outside, do all the things you're able to do?
God gave me a vision, so hey, you got to use that. Thanks to the offensive line and our fullback, Richie Kelly, our tight ends, Ben Busby, all of them. Good job.
Really quickly, you struggled down the stretch, losing 5 of your last 7 games. What does it mean to rebound like this and win this game?
It's everything happened for a reason. So other than that, you know, we bounced back from that. That's in the past, so we're trying to win today against a good team. Whatever team goes to any bowl game is good. So we had to bounce back from that and set example for next year.
All right, Mike Ford, go enjoy with your teammates. Let's see your back. Here we go. Look what it says on your back, by the way, MVP.
For real, you...
Turn around. The camera.
I ain't know. I swear I didn't. They said that for real?
For real, MVP. Congratulations.
Mike's got to lighten up a little bit.
Guys, he's enjoying himself.
Thanks a lot, David. Yes, it does say MVP, and he's earned it with 207 yards.
Absolutely has earned that.
All right, so the final score once again, 27-3, and South Florida going to 8-5. A couple of touchdown receptions for A.J. Love, 207 yards, and about 10-15 seconds. Your thoughts on the game?
Just a great second half by the South Florida Bulls. They came back, got some momentum, and started that running game, and it all starts up front for them.
Once again, the final score 27-3. Tune over to ESPN News for a post-game extra. Live coverage of the trophy ceremony down on the field. Log on to ESPN360.com. For John Congemi, David Amber, and our entire ESPN2 crew, Mike Gleason saying so long from Toronto. The Bulls of USF are the 2010 International Bowl champions. 207 rushing yards for Mike Ford. 27-3 the final score right now. So long, everybody. Enjoy 2010. Let's send it back over to the studio. Dari Noka. Dari, take it away.
All right, Mike, will do. We're going to get you.